Chapter 1361. Yi Yan's soul was almost scared to death. Yen, are you asleep? Damn, it's actually my mother who came. Yi Yan and Chiyu looked at each other. What to do? I am asleep. What else could Yi Yan shout? He could only make up a story. Then, Mom is coming in. Chinya pretended not to hear. She just wanted to see if these two kids were real or fake. Yi Yan immediately panicked. Mom is really making things difficult for her son. But if it was any other boy, this is simply the most powerful mom. To be able to have such a mom is simply a super benefit. Yi Yan kept the mattress on the floor and directly got into the quilt. Chiyu looked at Yi Yan's movements that were like flowing water and had a dumbfounded look on her face. At this moment, Chinya walked in and directly looked at the bed. Mom! Yi Yan shouted unhappily, as if I, your son, am doing something and you rushed in. Where is Chiyu? Because Chiyu was sleeping inside, Chinya didn't see her and thought that Chiyu wasn't there at all. However, at this moment, Chiyu was very sensible and stretched out her little head with a red face. Mom. Aya, since you guys are already asleep, Mom won't come in. Chinya was happy. This shouldn't be wrong, right? Yi Yan was about to roll his eyes. It was clearly Mom who barged in, and you are actually still making sarcastic remarks. Mom, you should sleep early. Okay, Yen, you need to take care of Chiyu, understand? Don't bully others, you need to act like a husband, don't learn from your father. Chinya still had to carefully instruct, especially not to learn from your father. Mom, I understand, I really feel sorry for Chiyu. After speaking, Yi Yan hugged onto Chiyu's shoulder, just that Chiyu directly bit onto Yi Yan's shoulder, causing him to frown in pain. Chinya smiled and did not say anything, then closed the door. Chinya, who was standing outside, let out a long sigh. Once upon a time, we also quarreled like this, just that this kind of quarreling has now become an extravagant hope. Should I go back tonight? I really don't know. When Yi Yan heard the sound of his mother leaving, he finally felt relieved. You still aren't letting go. Pervert. Yi Yan hurriedly let go and jumped off the bed. Who is a pervert? In that situation just now, I could only do that. Otherwise, we will be exposed. In any case, you are a hooligan. I don't want to see you. Chiyu's back was facing Yi Yan, and her tone seemed to be really angry. No matter what, Yi Yan was a scumbag-level expert. He had kissed a few hundred times, and his excuse for breaking up was enough to make a person go crazy. Of course, his skill in coaxing a girl was rather brilliant. Faced with a girl like Chiyu, Yi Yan felt that he could make her smile at any time. Honey, go to hell, who's your wife? Chiyu became even angrier. This shameless person. Sob, I don't care. You're my wife. It wasn't easy to trick you. You can't run away. Chiyu's face darkened. You. This scoundrel, bastard. I'll tell your parents. F***ck, wait, I'm joking. Didn't you hear my tone just now? Yi Yan felt the air turn awkward. Can you grow some brains? Please, can't you be a little more serious? How can you joke like that? How boring. Chiyu glanced at Yi Yan before lying down again. Yi Yan felt a headache while holding on to her. I can't compare this woman with other women, I still have to use some tricks. After quite a while, Yi Yan curled up on the ground. So cold. Of course, Chiyu didn't fall asleep so quickly. After all, it was her first time sleeping in the same room as a man, and she was a bit nervous. More than that, she was worried. Who knows if Yi Yan would do something worse than a beast later on. So cold, you're going to die from the cold. Chiyu muttered. However, she felt that the temperature here was indeed very low. Especially late at night, the temperature was around -10+ degrees Celsius. This bed seems to have a heating function, but the floor doesn't have any heating function. Woman, you don't have a bit of sympathy at all. Yi Yan said while shivering. This won't do, you don't have a bit of sympathy at all, any woman wouldn't have the heart to let me, young Master Yi, sleep on the floor. Chuyu laughed softly, that would depend on who it is. I don't want to talk to you right now. Yi Yan snorted proudly. Did I whet your appetite enough? Are you going to invite me to your bed? Let me tell you, I will put on an act and refuse, making it seem like I am very reserved. I will definitely not be impatient. Come, invite me, I am already prepared to accept your invitation. How about you change to another room? Yi Yan, this woman's way of thinking can't be decided by common sense. Don't talk to me. What are you doing, getting angry just like this? You don't have any manliness at all. F***K. Can't a man get angry? What does this have to do with manliness? You women are simply the kings of bullsh**T, can you be even more ridiculous? However, after a long time, Yi Yan still didn't hear Chuyu's words. This woman is really ignoring me. F***K, I told you to ignore me, and you just ignore me, what a headache. Under this kind of unwillingly situation, Yi Yan gradually fell asleep. The temperature in the room was indeed very low, and Yi Yan seemed to be intentionally letting himself catch a cold, not resisting the cold. However, Chuyu, who was on the bed, threw out a gentle beam of light, enveloping Yi Yan. Yi Yan, who was sleeping, could feel the warmth. It was very comfortable, as if he had fallen into his wife's embrace. The night quietly dispersed, and it was another beautiful breakfast. Yi Yan let out a yawn, then slowly opened his eyes. Where am I? Suddenly, he recalled his current situation. This woman on the bed actually ignored me. Could it be that there is a problem with my charm? In the past, I have tried it 100% of the time. It doesn't exist. It must be caused by a little mistake in my operation. Looking at Chuyu, who was sleeping soundly on the bed, Yi Yan quietly crawled into the blanket, then pretended that nothing had happened and continued to sleep. Not knowing how long he slept for, Yi Yan only felt that his neck was a bit cold. Yi Yan opened his eyes and took a look. You, what are you doing? Chuyu could be seen holding onto a dagger. Her eyes were completely red, and the dagger was placed on Yi Yan's neck. You despicable man, you actually insulted me. Yi Yan hurriedly explained, I didn't insult you, I really didn't. Then why did you come to the bed? Tell me. If you don't tell me clearly, I will kill you. I also know that even if I kill you, I won't be able to get out, so I will kill myself. I will definitely not accept this kind of insult. Chapter 1362. What an unyielding woman. Yi Yan suddenly discovered that Chuyu was quite interesting, and suddenly, he had an idea. That's right. Since it has already come to this, if you want to kill someone, then kill me. Yi Yan closed his eyes. This is also a gamble. If this woman makes a move, I will be dead, but if she doesn't make a move, then she will definitely fall in love with me. Suddenly, Yi Yan felt a chill on his neck. Wait. Yi Yan hurriedly stopped the other party's crazy actions. Alright, this woman's description made me, Yi Yan, completely unable to guess. It is truly terrifying. Do you have any last words? Chuyu said with reddened eyes. I didn't expect that Yi Yan was actually this kind of person. Yi Yan's brain was thinking frantically. I have to think of a method now. Seems like I can only take out my trump card. Chuyu, do you know why I want to obtain you? Because you are a scoundrel. Wrong. Old pervert. Wrong. Pervert. Yi Yan, Chuyu, because I am afraid of losing you. Yi Yan shouted out gravely. His acting skills were instantly displayed. That angry expression, that heavy and sorrowful voice, and that superb appearance, any woman would instantly faint. Too enchanting. It's fine, I am not afraid. Yi Yan, the hell, our thoughts are not on the same channel at all. But I am afraid. Could it be that you still don't understand my feelings? Yi Yan pressed onto Chuyu's shoulders with both of his hands, his saliva almost spurted out. So awkward. Looking at Chuyu's disgusted expression, Yi Yan felt. Chuyu snorted coldly. Your feelings, Isn't it because you want to obtain me? Yes. I want to obtain you. But that is because I like you. That is why I want to obtain you. Yi Yan shook Chu Yu's shoulders and shouted out with a pleading expression, truly touching. Chu Yu went into a daze for a moment. Although it was only for a moment, Yi Yan saw an opportunity. It is not that I, scumbag Yi, am bragging, but this woman is already starting to fall. Look at my, Lord Yes, coquettish operation. Chu Yu, I just want to obtain your attention, arguing with you, bringing you home, and saying that you have a child, it is all to obtain your attention. Yi Yan discovered that Chu Yu's small face was getting redder and redder. My God, look at this shy look, it is so cute. You bastard. You actually set me up from the start. You even made it sound so fresh and refined. Yi Yan, I set the pace, but you purposely mess it up. Are you sent by the heavens to punish me? Looks like I really have to use my killing move. And it was the kind of explosive. It's not that I, the scumbag Yi, am bragging, but no woman can withstand this move. Remember. It could be any woman. Yi Yan used the move of a hungry wolf pouncing on fire, very much like his father. However, no matter what, his father's luck was much better than his son's. Because Yi Yan discovered that a sharp dagger was really aiming at his lamp wick. You want to come again? My God. I'm not going to play anymore, I didn't touch you. Yi Yan was truly at his wit's end, this woman is really stubborn. You're trying to trick me again. My imperial mother said. If a man and a woman sleep together, they will have children. Yi Yan was immediately stupefied. He wanted to be her biology teacher and tell her how to have a child. She was already over 100 years old, yet she was still so pure. Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. Chu Yu, let me give you a lesson. What do you mean? You have to do this in order to have a child. I will give you a dynamic demonstration, you have to cooperate with me. Alright, if you dare to trick me. You are dead meat. I will also commit suicide, humph. The hell, is she so easy to trick? Lie down properly first. Chu Yu really did obediently lie down properly, this made Yi Yan laugh wildly in his heart. However, just when Yi Yan was about to guide her, the door was suddenly pushed open. Yi Yan, Dad asked me to call you two to go eat breakfast. Dong Huangli shouted out. When she saw the scene on the bed, she went into a daze. Aren't these two acting? This is too realistic, they are really planning to have a child. Chu Yu's face flushed red, and she subconsciously kicked Yi Yan. Hiss, hiss, Yi Yan's scalp was about to fall off, this kick of hers nearly extinguished my lamp wick. Dong Huangli felt pain just by looking at it, too savage, you two, quickly wake up. After finished speaking, Dong Huangli left. In the future, when I come in, I still have to knock on the door. Right now, I am already a grown-up, I am not a child anymore. After Dong Huangli left, Yi Yan's lips were trembling. You are so ruthless. I didn't do it on purpose. Chu Yu said embarrassedly, then immediately ran away. I am really down on my luck of 8 lifetimes. Yi Yan endured that empty pain and got off the bed. If time could go back, I wouldn't sleep on the bed even if I was beaten to death. After a while, the two walked into the palace, and neither of them spoke. Are you alright? Chu Yu couldn't help but ask with concern. If something happened to me, you wouldn't be able to escape either. Who asked you to act recklessly? You don't even know your limits when you are joking. Who knew that your reaction would be so big? This is my normal reaction, okay? Chu Yu said helplessly. Who asked you to act recklessly? I don't want to talk to you. Yi Yan turned his head away. I really can't afford to offend her. I, Yi Yan, a dignified scumbag, a devil, actually lost, and so thoroughly too. If you don't want to talk, then don't talk. Chu Yu pouted. The two didn't speak along the way and arrived at Lu Jing's bedroom. Yi Yan first observed his parents' expressions. Luckily, their expressions are normal. If that's the case, I can be at ease. I didn't pay such a painful price in vain. Chuyu, did you sleep well last night? Dong Huang Baiji asked with concern. It was very fragrant. Chuyu adjusted her state of mind and said gently. However, right now, Yi Yan was thinking in his heart. This Chuyu is a tough woman, this weak appearance of hers is all a lie. Yan, what happened to your neck? Qingya looked at the red mark on her son's neck and asked curiously. Yi Hua said faintly, Qingya, this is our sons and daughter-in-law's bedroom matters, why are you asking so much? Everyone, Chuyu's face had already turned red, and even Yi Yan's face had turned red. Bedroom matters, my God, this word is simply too dirty, everyone, take a seat. Lu Jing said with a benevolent smile. Yi Yan and Chuyu sat down awkwardly. Yi Hua said faintly, Yan, Chuyu is still pregnant, you have to bear with it, understand? Everyone, also, Shen, although it is important to give birth to a child, you also have to take care of your body. God Yi and Lu Xian, who were at the side immediately felt the same as Yi Yan. So shy. Chapter 1363. Daji, let the blood demons serve the dishes to nourish their bodies. Yi Hua said again. He didn't expect that his son would actually turn the act into reality. Not bad. Sometimes, turning the act into reality was also a beautiful method. Thinking back to the past, let's not think back to the past, there is nothing much to think about in the past, they are all the same, inflated. This meal was as awkward as it could get. Of course, the ones who were awkward were Yi Yan and God Yi, but it would be fine once they got used to it. However, just as everyone was eating, 3 figures unexpectedly appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. Yi Hua, who was sitting at the main seat, slightly raised his head and took a look, then continued to eat his porridge. Even Lu Jing took a look and sighed softly. Only Qian Yuqing smiled faintly and said, It's good that you are back, quickly sit down and eat together. That's right, the ones who came back were naturally Yi Juetian, Gong Yu, and the child. However, Yi Juetian being able to coax his wife and child back was a huge loss, it was as if he was praying to the Bodhisattva. This made Gong Yu feel very happy, after all, this was the first time Yi Juetian begged her to return home, and he even promised a lot of things. However, Gong Yu was still too young, this man's promise, TSK, it can change at any time. Mother, big brother, sisters-in-law. Yi Juetian said respectfully. Actually, he had thought through some problems back then, he had indeed been biased against Gong Yu, he didn't think from Gong Yu's point of view, and he even hit Gong Yu. Is this something a man should do? Even beasts wouldn't do this. That's why. Towards Yi Juetian being able to bring Gong Yu and the child back, everyone was still very happy. Right now, Chuyu curiously turned her head around, wanting to take a look at Prince Ye's little brother. However, when Chuyu turned her head around, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were immediately stunned. This. Yi came back? Yi didn't die? These questions lingered in Yi Juetian and Gong Yu's mind. How is this possible? Right now, Yi Juetian's mind was completely blank again, and he even walked towards Chuyu step by step. Chuyu was startled, and she subconsciously held onto Yi Yan's hand. Because this uncle's gaze is so. I can't say for sure, but it is filled with either deep longing or fear. Yi Yan could be seen standing in front of Chuyu and said with a smile, Uncle, this is my wife, Chuyu. Following Yi Yan's words, Yi Juetian stopped in his tracks. Chuyu? You're not Yi? Yes, uncle. My name is Chuyu, brother Yan's wife. Chuyu spoke quite smoothly now, but her words made Yi Juetian's mind go blank. Chuyu, hello. Yi Juetian took a deep look at Chuyu, then took a few steps back, held Gong Yu's hand, and sat down. This scene seemed a little strange. Yi Hua placed down the spoon and said faintly, Since you are already back, then live your life properly. Don't think too much. Yi Hua was also warning Yi Juetian that Chuyu was Chuyu, and Yi was Yi, the two must not be confused. This is your nephew's woman. Don't have any crooked thoughts. Otherwise, even the gods won't be able to save you. Yi Juetian nodded and said sincerely, Big brother, I understand. I won't make the same mistake again in the future. After Gong Yu got over her shock, she felt touched. Just now, Yi Juetian clearly had a reaction. Seems like Yi is an existence that can't be dispelled in Yi Juetian's heart. What can I do? Since things have come to this, I can only take one step at a time. If Yi dares to bully me again, then I really won't come back anymore. I will bring Yi away from this sad place. Yi Yan let out a breath. No matter what, I was the one who brought her back. I can't let her suffer a loss. Although this Chiyu looks like Yi, she isn't Yi. Therefore, I, Yi Yan, have to protect others. But then again, Chiyu's small hands are really soft, and they are super easy to touch. I want to touch them even more than the girls in the past. Should I be serious for once? No, I, Yi Yan, am also a man who pays attention to detail. I promised to be a scumbag, so how can I go back on my words? Just as Yi Yan was about to say a few words, Wei Chang's voice rang out in his mind. Your Honor, subordinate has something to report. What is it? Yi Hua asked indifferently. This was also the tone that had never changed for hundreds of years. After all, there were only a few things that would cause Yi Hua's emotions to fluctuate, for example, the women beside him. This is regarding the matter regarding Little Honorable. Them? Yi Hua asked confusedly. Looking at my 4 children, could it be that they caused some sort of trouble? That's right, Meridian Break's sect and God Academy have already gone crazy looking for Little Honorable. However, I have no idea who secretly reported that Little Honorable was kidnapped and brought to Wushu Empire. Oh. There is such a thing? Then, what are they planning to do? Are they planning to kill their way over, or are they planning to put up a strong protest? Your Honor, we do not know for the time being, but it is very likely that they will take extreme actions. Wei Chang said respectfully. However, his tone did not have the slightest bit of fluctuation. Even if you take extreme actions, so what? No matter how extreme your actions are, can they be as extreme as our Wushu Empire? Yi Hua laughed lightly, causing everyone to feel very puzzled. Let's see what actions they will take, then. After being bored for more than 10 years, it seems like there are people stirring up trouble again. However, Wei Chang was still a bit worried as he asked in a low voice, Your Honor, in a sense, they are also Little Honorable's teachers. If we were to kill them directly, will Little Honorable have any thoughts about it? I reckon that Little Honorable won't have any thoughts about it, but this matter will be buried deep in their hearts. In the end, being a father is not easy. There are simply too many things that one has to consider, and one cannot be too selfish and only think about revenge. Yi Hua let out a light sigh. In the past, when I was all alone, all I could think about in my mind was how to torture my enemies, and I would even think of different ways to torture them. However, ever since I met Qinya, my world seems to have changed. Qinya is simply a little demoness that torments people. Your Honor has indeed become a single person. Yi Hua said coldly, Are you saying that I wasn't a single person in the past? Subordinate doesn't dare. Subordinate will go and inquire about the news right now. Go. After ending the call with Wei Chang, Yi Hua slightly narrowed his eyes. What's wrong? Dong Huang Baiji asked curiously. Don't look at how it was just a question. This was also giving Yi Hua face, and it could be considered as a kind of taking the initiative to admit one's mistake. Yi Hua said faintly, It's about the matter between Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy. Although the children didn't ask, all of them looked over at Yi Hua in unison. In their eyes, the children can be considered to have gone missing. I have no idea who leaked the news, but they said that our Wushu Empire kidnapped the children. Right now, they are currently planning on whether they should use negotiation to get the children back, or extreme methods to get the children back. Chapter 1364. To be honest, the children didn't really wish to see a fight. After all, They had lived in that place for more than 10 years, even if it was a lump of iron, they would still have feelings. They still hoped that their father would be able to let them off the hook. What if they come? Chinya asked. Her tone wasn't as aggressive as before. Most likely, it was because she was happy. That would depend on themselves. Life and death will be up to them to choose. Yihua said faintly, then stood up and left. In this family, Yihua's words were always the loudest. Even Lu Jing wouldn't say something like that sometimes. This was a dictator, a domineering CEO series. Girls loved it the most. That was why Chuyu and Lu Xian felt that their father was so cool. Alright, now even their father is being called. However, right now, the two big shots from Shin Academy and Meridian Break sect were discussing whether to negotiate or to take extreme measures. Meridian Break sect's big shot was still Changhen, but Shin Academy's big shot, Tai He, had already gone missing for many years. In the beginning, everyone had been searching for him, but in the end, they gave up. However, Shin Academy couldn't afford to lose its dean. In the end, it was the vice dean who became the dean. This person's name was Chang Qing, and he was a middle-aged man. His appearance was similar to Pan An's, and that handsomeness. This was the charm of a middle-aged man, and the young ladies were simply unable to resist it. Especially that silver hair on his head, it simply made this Dean Chang Qing even more charming. Shin Academy, inside the dean's office. The two big shots were really actively negotiating. From what I see, this Wushu Empire is too arrogant. It wasn't easy for two new stars to appear in our south, and they actually kidnapped them. This is simply too despicable. We can't just let this go. Chang Hen gritted his teeth in anger. When he thought about Dong Huang Li's insane medical skills and God Ye's unique power, he wished that he could go and rescue them right now. Even when he was sleeping at night, he would still dream of the two youngsters being hung up, beaten, and interrogated. He didn't even get to eat a hot meal. The pain in his heart, it was simply heart-wrenching. Chang Qing slowly poured a cup of hot tea for Chang Hen, then said lightly, "Sect Master, don't be anxious, the current situation is still unclear. This Wushu Empire is already second to none in the north. Without a bit of strength, I'm afraid that it would be impossible. Chang Qing, could it be that you are going to watch as they are hung up and beaten? They are still children." Chang Hen shouted out angrily. Yi Yan and Yi Lu are both very smart. Even if they are kidnapped, they will try their best to escape. However, at this point, Chang Qing's calm eyes turned cold. The disciple of my evergreen isn't someone who can be touched by anyone. Chang Hen nodded and took a sip of the hot tea in his hand. So we should go and get him. Now that the entire South knows about it, if we don't do anything, we'll be laughed at. It's only natural that we want him, but before that, we still have to warn him. What do you mean? Shall we send someone over to explain? That's right. This can be considered as peaceful measures before resorting to force. Enduring Hatred thought for a moment and shook his head. I don't think that's necessary. Let's just go and get him. If you don't give it to us, we'll do it. Isn't this a little too extreme? Evergreen asked doubtfully. Extreme? My lungs are about to explode from anger. This is already a very rational thing to do. Chang Hen said indignantly. From the looks of it, Chang Hen was also extremely biased towards Dong Huang Li and God Yi. After all, for so many years, the medicinal herbs that Dong Huang Li needed were all arranged by Chang Hen. Chang Hen could be said to be extremely doting towards Dong Huang Li. Therefore, how could he not be angry? Although Evergreen looked indifferent, in his heart, he was about to explode from anger. He watched them grow up as if they were his own children. How could he not be angry? He was simply about to explode from anger. Evergreen slowly closed his eyes. After a long time, he said lightly, "Since that's the case, then let's do it. We will directly go and get him." "All right. You and I have already arranged everything. If we don't give him to him, then we will directly kill him. Don't think that we are easy to bully." Evergreen nodded his head. These two are indeed ruthless people. They decided such a big matter in just a few minutes. However, right at this moment, a voice rang out from outside the door. Dean, people from Abyss City are here. Evergreen and Chang Hen went into a daze. They took a look at each other. What are people from Abyss City doing here? Abyss City, that was the water city in the past. However, ever since there was no water, it was renamed to Abyss City. This name is rather fitting. Abyss is indeed very, very deep. Let them in. Evergreen said faintly. Soon after, he sat cross-legged on the main seat, and Chang Hen also sat on the side seat. 3 people could be seen slowly walking in, and the man leading the group was none other than Qi Shuwen. It was none other than Qi Shuwen. This man who possesses the system. Of the 2 people walking at the side, one was Long Outyan, who killed people with his left hand and saved people with his right hand, and the other person was naturally Jiu Yi. Don't look down on Qi Shuwen right now. After 12 years of hard work, Qi Shuwen had already become a supreme level expert, and he had even exchanged a lot of treasures from the system. I feel that it is time for me to come out of seclusion. During these 12 years, Long Outyan was also the same. He had practically trained with his life on the line. Right now, he was also a supreme level expert, and he definitely had the ability to protect his family. This time, when Qi Shuwen said that he wanted to help, Long Outyan agreed without hesitation. If it wasn't for the place that Qi Shuwen had arranged for him, he would still be running away. Jiu Yi, who was at the side, had also been training crazily these few years. With Qi Shuwen's help, he had also reached supreme level, but he was still weaker than the other 2. But no matter how weak he was still a supreme level expert. Jiu Yi seemed to know that this trip was a bit dangerous, so he didn't bring Xiao Bao along. After all, Xiao Bao was already old now. It had been 12 years since Xiao Bao came, and a golden retriever's lifespan would only be around that much. No matter what, Jiu Yi wouldn't let Xiao Bao leave his side. This golden retriever was Jiu Ye's family. I am Qi Shuwen from Abyss City. I pay my respects to the 2 supreme level experts. Qi Shuwen cupped his hands and said politely. After all these years, Qi Shuwen had long understood a principle: the bird that sticks out will be shot. Even if you have a sharp edge, you still have to hold it in. I am Long Outyan. Jiu Yi is still the most awesome, as expected of a big shot. Evergreen asked lightly, may I know what business the people from Abyss City have with me? This Meridian Break sect and Shin Academy didn't get along with Abyss City to begin with, and now that they suddenly came to visit, it was already good that they didn't chase them out. We are naturally here to provide help. Qi Shuwen said with a slight smile. Help? Evergreen asked in confusion. Those 3 old farts from Abyss City didn't come, and instead, they sent a young man like you out. What is the meaning of this? Chapter 1365. Qi Shuwen nodded his head. Voidless Empire. I have heard of it long ago, and even earlier, I have also heard of this place called Voidless Realm. Voidless Realm? Chang Qing and Chang Hen were puzzled. Long Outyan didn't know about Voidless Realm. After all, back then, he had always been watched by Death Assassin. What kind of place is this Voidless Realm? Chang Hen asked doubtfully. What does it have to do with Voidless Empire? From what you said, these 2 seem to be related. Do you have any proof? Just because their names are similar? Chang Qing asked indifferently. He didn't really mind this kind of coincidence. Qi Shuwen laughed, then raised his head slightly and said, I don't know how powerful that Voidless Realm is, but no one can shake it. Furthermore, this Voidless Empire became the strongest in the north in a short 12 years. How can they do that without strength? So, you think that we aren't their match? Chang Qing's tone was a bit deep. Anyone with discerning eyes would know that Chang Qing was definitely angry. Qi Shuwen shook his head. That's not it. The strength of Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy is known by the entire South. I have some conflict with that Voidless Realm. Regardless of whether you all believe it or not, my intuition is telling me that there is definitely a connection between us. After hearing that, Chang Qing and Chang Hen took a look at each other. These few people are quite strong. If they join us, it will be the icing on the cake. It can also be counted as a kind of insurance. With the three of us joining us, we will definitely be able to get twice the result with half the effort. Qi Shuwen added. He had waited for this moment for a long time. As for why he had such a huge amount of resentment, even Qi Shuwen himself didn't know. In any case, Qi Shuwen only knew one thing. Back then, if not for Voidless Realm, he wouldn't have come here. It was all because of Voidless Realm that forced him to come here. That smoking man, and Voidless Realm's Empress. Back then, he swore that he would definitely trample on Voidless Realm and ruthlessly trample on Voidless Realm. I want everyone to know that I, Qi Shuwen, am the true overlord. Long Outyen had a stupefied look on his face. He didn't have much feelings towards hatred. Right now, he just wanted to live a good life with his family. As for helping Qi Shuwen this time, it was also to return a favor. Lord Jiu was the same. He was already old. How could he still be in the mood to engage in such a fight? Back then, Voidless Realm had already experienced it. Voidless Realm was practically a graveyard. Voidless Realm sent several 100,000 people to go there, and in the end, before they could even see the door of Voidless Realm, all of them died in battle. Just thinking about it made one's hair stand on end. If he was given another choice, he definitely wouldn't do that. It was simply digging his own grave. As for whether or not this Voidless Empire is Voidless Realm or not, Zhou Yi doesn't know. If it is, then I can only be considered to be out of luck, and not bringing Xiao Bao along with me is also a wise decision. Everlasting Hatred stood up, looked at Qi Shuwen and the others, and said, "You can join us, but this time, our Broken Meridian Sect and Divine Academy are in charge. You cannot act on your own. Do you understand what I mean?" Chang Hen was also afraid that Qi Shuwen would make trouble. At that time, the Meridian Breaking Sect and the Shin Academy would be blamed. Then, the loss would outweigh the gain. Of course. Qi Shuwen readily agreed. Evergreen issued a stern warning. "If you dare to act recklessly, we will not fear the Abyss City. Dean, you can rest assured. I, Qi Shuwen, will not do such a thing. That is naturally for the best." Evergreen said lightly. The meaning behind his words was that he wanted to send them off. Qi Shuwen naturally understood what Evergreen meant. He smiled and said, "Then, I won't disturb the two of you from discussing matters. I will just send someone to inform you when the time comes." "All right." After finished speaking, Qi Shuwen, Long Outyen, and Zhou Yi walked out of the dean's office. There was no one beside Long Outyen. Long Outyen asked curiously, "Brother Qi, just what is this Voidless Realm and Voidless Empire?" "Outyen, you don't know?" Zhou Yi had a look of looking at Long Outyen as if Long Outyen was an alien. At that time, everyone knew about it. Even Qi Shuwen felt that Long Outyen was living in a paradise. This. I am ashamed to talk about it. Back then, because of some matters, I had to live in the mountains with Meng Meng for many years. Thus, I know nothing about the outside world. Long Outyen said embarrassedly. Back then, I tried to snatch a woman from someone else, and in the end, I was killed by that person instead. However, even if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have been able to meet Meng Meng and turn a bad thing into a good thing. Qi Shuwen laughed lightly. "So that's the case. The two of you sure love each other, enjoying the life of a paradise." Qi Shuwen, who didn't understand the situation, thought that the two of them did it on purpose. However, Zhou Yi didn't think so. Back then, Long Outyen was still very arrogant. This time, after meeting Long Outyen seemed to have changed into a completely different person. However, Shuwen, that Voidless Realm is not a charity. Are you sure that Voidless Empire and Voidless Realm are the same? Zhou Yi asked gravely. This isn't a joke, this might just be a suicide question. Qi Shuwen took a deep breath. "Zhou Yi, putting aside all these, do you think that we are still the same as back then? Do you know what Supreme Martial Artist is?" The kind that can walk unhindered in the world like a crab. Jiu Yi, are you able to swallow your anger about what happened back then? Qi Shuwen asked back. Jiu Yi didn't express his opinion. Back then, he was indeed unable to swallow his anger, and that was why he chose to bring Xiao Bao along to relax. In actuality, he was just trying to escape. However, Jiu Yi didn't say such words, because all these years, Qi Shuwen had helped me a lot. After all, I, Jiu Yi, am also a person of the underworld. The reason why we train so hard, isn't it to make those who look down on us regret it? To protect our family from being bullied? If not for these beliefs, would there be a need for us to train so hard? Can't we just eat, drink, and be merry? Taking the risk to train, isn't that sick? Long Outyen and Jiu Yi didn't say anything. Seems like Qi Shuwen indeed has a lot of resentment towards Voidless Realm. If it wasn't for Qi Shuwen helping them, they really wouldn't want to go to Voidless Realm. Shuwen, we still have to be careful. If they are really from Voidless Realm, we have to be even more careful. Jiu Yi said gravely. Of course. Although Qi Shuwen agreed, in actuality, in his heart, he was already itching to go and trample on them. Back then, you two acted arrogantly in front of me. This time, Qi Shuwen, am going to act arrogantly in front of you too. Show off my might. Inside the dean's office. Eternal hatred, what do you think about this matter? Chang Qing asked, wanting to hear Eternal Hatred's opinion. Eternal Hatred said gravely, I don't know what to think about this matter, but that man just now. He is someone that our Meridian Break sect put on a wanted list a long time ago. N? Which one, the one who spoke? No, it's the youngster who is standing at the back. What? He killed your people? Chang Qing asked curiously. Chapter 1366. Eternal Hatred said solemnly, it is because of a skeleton. Skeleton? Undead race? Chang Qing was confused. Yes, that undead race. Didn't he die? Chang Qing asked in shock. Eternal Hatred waved his hands behind his back. Smoke rose, and the video from back then was broadcasted. This is a secret that Meridian Breaking Sect has hidden for many years, not many people know about it. Chang Qing looked at the video. Although his expression was calm, his heart was in turmoil. This skeleton. Just like that skeleton. Chang Qing didn't participate in the battle back then, but he had seen the video and knew about that undead race. He felt that this aura was much weaker, but that aura of looking down on everything was very similar. It feels like it, but it doesn't. Chang Qing said indifferently. That is why we have to capture him. Then why didn't he attack just now? The three of them are quite strong. If they had attacked, your deity institution would have been destroyed. Eternal Hatred had considered this before, but his strength didn't allow him to act recklessly. If that skeleton didn't die, then the situation would be even worse. Yes, but more than 10 years have passed, and there haven't been any large-scale casualties. Maybe it really is fake. Chang Qing said solemnly, that might not be the case. This Wushu Empire is the only empire that allows alien races to live in the city. From this, we can see that this emperor has a good impression of alien races. I even feel that this emperor himself is an alien race. What you said makes sense. For Wushu Empire to allow a different race to reside in this Wushu Empire, it has already caused public opinion. I think, just based on this point alone, Wushu Empire has become the public enemy of all humans. Chang Hen said coldly. Chang Qing nodded. What he said made sense, but this time, we are going to find the disciples. If things get too tense, I am afraid that they will kill us. Yes, if not for that, I really want to wipe out that Wushu Empire. During these years, they have been too arrogant in the north. Chang Qing laughed, Eternal Hatred, no matter what, this Wushu Empire is a matter of the north, so it is normal for us not to interfere. The people in the north didn't say anything, so what reason do we have to use the disciples as an excuse to start a war? I don't want that. Indeed, this time, we should bring the children back first. Alright, I'll start making arrangements here. You can start too. We'll set off in 10 days. Should we spread the news? Everlasting Hatred asked. You can relax a little. At least give him some pressure. I think so too. Alright, I'll go back and prepare. You don't have to send me off. Chang Qing clasped his hands and disappeared from the spot. Give me some pressure. Will Wushu Empire be pressured? I can't wait for you to come and stir up trouble. This news spread like wildfire on the second day. The entire southern region knew that meridian-breaking sect and deity institution were making a big move, and they were making a move against Wushu Empire in the north. The reason was because Wushu Empire kidnapped their beloved disciple. Many people began to discuss this. This Wushu Empire was the leader of the north, while the broken meridian sect and deity institution were the superpowers of the south. With such a clash between the strong, would there be any sparks? The news spread in the north on the third day. Within Wushu Empire. These few days, Yihua didn't quarrel with his wife, and their relationship could be considered to be in a frozen state. This kind of situation was still rather good. On the other hand, Dong Huangli and Qing Su were discussing about poisons every single day. They could practically discuss from day to night, and they still wanted more. After all, Dong Huangli was young, and her way of thinking was different from others. Qing Su received a lot of inspiration from her. Dong Huangli was indeed young, but Qing Su's steadiness was not something that could be easily obtained. Dong Huangli also received a lot of ideas from Qing Su, and she appeared to be exceptionally serious. Qing Su felt that his honor's eyesight was indeed not bad. It was indeed a good thing for his honor to let little Dong Huangli become the leader. God Yi and Lu Xian were in the making a human stage, meanwhile, Yi Yan and Chu Yu were in the scolding stage. If Chu Yu didn't scold Yi Yan for even a minute, her entire body would feel uncomfortable. When Chu Yu couldn't win against Yi Yan in a scolding, she would start crying. Yi Yan seemed to have learned from his father's teachings. It seems like he can't see a girl crying, so he just coaxed her. Chu Yu grabbed onto this weakness and attacked Yi Yan frenziedly. However, Yi Yan felt that this was just like flirting and cultivating feelings. However, Yi Lu was the only one who was rather bored. No matter who he looked for, no one was free. During these few days, Yi Juetian and Gong Yu were still alright. Yi Juetian knew that Chu Yu merely looked like Yi, and she wasn't Yi. Sometimes, he would even comfort himself that Chu Yu was Yi, and that meant that Yi didn't die. She was still alive, Your Honor. Wei Chang slowly walked into the imperial garden, and Yihua could be seen sitting on a stone bench, while Qian Yuqing was currently playing the zither. From the looks of it, Yihua only fell out with Qing Ye and Dong Huang Baiji, and Qing Yutong and Qian Yuqing didn't. Qian Yuqing stopped playing the zither. For Wei Chang to come at this time, there must definitely be a reason. Sit. Yihua said faintly. Wei Chang sat down respectfully. Yihua personally poured tea for Wei Chang, and Wei Chang held onto the teacup with both of his hands. What happened? There's movement. Wei Chang said in a low voice. A smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. That's good. How many people are coming? The number doesn't seem to be a lot, but they are coming. When are they coming? Around 7 days later. Wei Chang said lightly. After pausing for a moment, Wei Chang continued asking, Your Honor, do we need to do anything? There's no need to do anything. Although Wei Chang was puzzled, he still said respectfully, Yes. Subordinate understands. After finished speaking, Wei Chang prepared to stand up and leave. You didn't drink the tea. Yihua reminded. Wei Chang hurriedly drank the tea, then left. Yihua looked towards Qian Yuqing. Qian Yuqing laughed tenderly, then continued playing the zither with her slender hands. The beautiful melody made Yihua close his eyes and enjoy the peaceful moment. After the zither finished playing, Qian Yuqing walked to Yihua's side. What did Wei Chang say to make you so happy? Oh, then Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy will be coming in a few days. They are really coming? Seems like they are really doting on their children. Yihua laughed lightly, then said with a trace of ridicule, are they doting on their children, or are they making use of them? Who knows? We will know when the time comes. What do you think? Yihua asked curiously. Qian Yuqing whispered a few words into Yihua's ear, causing Yihua to laugh out loud. Yihua stretched out his hand and hugged onto Qian Yuqing. Yuqing, I discovered that you have become bad. Isn't it all because of you? Naughty. Yihua, calm down, don't be angry at them. Seeing that Yihua was in a good mood, Qian Yuqing mustered up her courage and pleaded for Yihua. However, after hearing Qian Yuqing's words, Yihua's expression turned stiff. You don't have to worry about this matter. After finished speaking, Yihua stood up and left. Chapter 1367. The speed at which Yihua's face changed caused Qian Yuqing to be dumbstruck. It was still sunny just a moment ago, and in an instant, there was a thunderstorm. This is even faster than a woman. I was still playing the zither for you just now to make you happy, at least give me some face, and yet you actually got angry. If you don't want me to worry about you, I won't worry about you. This is truly infuriating. Qian Yuqing snorted, then picked up Yihua's teacup and drank it in one gulp. She felt that what she was drinking was not tea, but wine. It was commonly known as the aura of drinking water into wine. What's wrong? Drinking tea instead of wine in the middle of the day? Qin Yutong walked over with a smile on her face, and it was obvious that she was teasing Yihua. Qian Yuqing said helplessly, you saw it yourself just now, and you are still teasing me. Qin Yutong sat down leisurely, poured a cup of tea for herself, then said with a slight smile, how can this be considered teasing? This should be called condolence. This brother-in-law of mine, his temper is just like the weather. 1 second he would be smiling, the next second he would be looking at you with a stern face. He wasn't like this in the past, he always had a poker face. Qian Yuqing said in a low voice. From the looks of it, she had played landlord quite a lot. He is just like that, don't take it to heart, I won't be sad with you anymore, it seems like there is something going on. Qin Yutong said with a smile, then hurriedly walked out of the imperial garden. If there is something going on, how can I be left out? Qian Yuqing held onto her forehead helplessly. This is different from what I imagined. The life that I imagined should be the kind of loving and loving life, where every day is like bathing in love, which would be able to make my heart warm, but right now, it is just like the weather, it is so unstable. At this moment, Qin Yutong caught up to Yihua. Brother-in-law, wait for me, Qin Yutong shouted out with that coquettish tone of hers, and it was practically able to give Yihua goosebumps. To be able to act coquettishly to such an extent, only Qin Yutong would be able to do so, other people are simply unable to do so. Just from this coquettish tone of yours, I, the Supreme Overlord, will have to stop my footsteps and ask what exactly is going on. What's the matter? Brother-in-law, wait for me, I can't even catch up to you. Qin Yutong immediately held onto Yihua's arm, then once again used her ultimate move of acting coquettishly. This move was effective on any man. Qin Yutong had naturally told her big sister before, but Qin Yutong didn't use coquettish tone. I, Qinya, is also a person, how can I act coquettishly? Speak normally. All right. Brother-in-law, is there something that you want me to do? Qin Yutong's eyebrows twitched, and had a look of a brother-in-law, you understand, on her face. Yihua looked at Qin Yutong and pondered in his heart. However, when Qin Yutong saw Yihua looking straight at her like that, she became a bit shy. Although they were already an old married couple, suddenly doing something like this was still a bit weird. Brother-in-law, what are you doing, using this kind of expression to look at sister-in-law? Qin Yutong said shyly, then lowered her head and stood on her tiptoes, and it was obvious that she was pretending to be young. When Yihua saw this, he couldn't help but say, all right, you're not young anymore, yet you're still acting like a little girl. Brother-in-law, you are very hateful. Qin Yutong, am 18 years old every year, okay? Qin Yutong rolled her eyes at Yihua. How can you be so straightforward? If not for me finding a wife first, I'm afraid that I would still be single right now. The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched, then he continued walking forward. All right, I have matured all right, Yutong, there is indeed a matter that I need you to do. Yihua suddenly said. Qin Yutong went into a daze, then said in a deadly earnest manner, brother-in-law, you just have to instruct me, no matter if it is to climb a mountain of swords or jump into a pot of boiling oil. Qin Yutong will not even blink my eyes. It's not that exaggerated, I just want you to act out your true colors for a bit. Brother-in-law, what do you mean by this? You are making me a bit muddle-headed. Yihua told Qin Yutong about what happened, and when Qin Yutong heard it, she felt that it was not bad. Brother-in-law, what you mean is, if these people are using the excuse of wanting to have children, then we should get rid of all of them, and if they are really worried about the children, then we should let bygones be bygones. Yihua nodded his head. This is the choice that I am giving them, to live or die, I will let them make the choice themselves. Talk to the children about this, I will talk to them about the other matters. Oh. What about big sister's side? I'll go. Hearing that Yihua was going to talk to big sister, Qin Yutong was naturally happy. Brother-in-law, you go ahead then, I will go and talk to the children first. Go. Looking at Qin Yutong who was walking away with cheerful steps, the corner of Yihua's mouth arced up. After so many years, you really did not change at all. On the other hand, your big sister changed a lot, especially that temper of hers. Yihua directly arrived at the bedroom of Qinya and the others. Right after walking in, Donghuang Baiji and Qinya could hear the sounds of laughter. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji were laughing happily. However, when Yihua appeared, the two women immediately shut up and even put on a straight face. The speed at which his face changed was as fast as Yihua's. Yihua didn't want to argue too much with the two of them, and thus, he sat in front of the two of them. Chapter 1368. Nothing was more powerful than a child. Since Yi Yan and God Yi have their own homes and children, let's choose a time to marry them. We can't miss out on any of the necessary etiquette. Donghuang Baiji said lightly. There was still a bit of unhappiness in her tone. After all, Yihua did not give them a proper wedding. Yihua was naturally able to tell that he wanted to do it as well. However, it was not the right time yet. Thus, he could only push it back a bit. Seeing that Yihua seemed to be intending to avoid this question, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji became unhappy. Just what is this Yihua worried about? Why is he not willing to hold a wedding for us? Isn't this just a matter of a few words from you? When the time comes, you can just come out and walk around with your clothes on. You can even pretend to be mute. I can say everything. Can't this even work? Right, there is one more thing that I need to tell you all. Yihua hurriedly changed the topic. At this time, it is better not to talk about the wedding anymore. Qinya asked snappily, what is it? The people from Meridian Break Sect and Deity Academy came to look for the child. They thought that the child was kidnapped. Yihua said faintly. So? Donghuang Baiji asked confusedly. Thus, if you are using the excuse of looking for a child to cause trouble, I, the Supreme Overlord, will naturally not let you off. However, if you are sincere, then forget it. Yihua said faintly. After hearing what Yihua said, Qinya and Donghuang Baiji pondered for a moment. This is also Yihua's usual way of doing things. For so many years, it doesn't seem like anything has happened. You can decide for yourself. I'll cooperate with you when the time comes. Qinya said in a low voice. From the looks of it, I also want to vent my anger. Since I can't vent my anger on my husband, I will just find someone else to vent my anger on. Alright, it is decided then. Yihua stood up, seemingly planning to leave. For the past few years, Yihua had always been like this. After saying a few sentences, he would immediately leave. There was basically no communication at all, and a husband and wife who didn't communicate with each other were simply like strangers. While looking at Yihua's back view, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji did not say anything. They were already used to it. However, Yihua didn't leave immediately. Instead, he turned around and asked, "Do you want to go to the child's side together?" Sure enough, when Yihua said this, both Qingye and Donghuang Baiji went into a daze for a moment. Did this man take the wrong medicine today? To actually know how to invite me over. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji stood up and said, "It just so happens that we are planning to go there as well, let's go together then." Look at these two women. They are so arrogant. It is as if a peacock is holding a court. It is really embarrassing. Yihua didn't say anything. Right now, the situation is that you take a step back and I take a step back. This way, we will be able to reconcile with each other. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji walked to Yihua's side and lightly held onto Yihua's wrist. Yihua couldn't even remember how long it has been since the two women last had such an action. Today is truly a good day. But for the children, today was a surprising day. Aunt, it can't be, right? Is this a scam? When Dong Wangli heard Qin Yutong's words, she was clearly incomparably shocked. Is there a need to be so ruthless? Yes, this is too exaggerated. Yi Yan followed along and said. Although this is just an act, we are still suffering a lot. Aunt, you actually want to? This is too outrageous. Qin Yutong said solemnly with the appearance of an elder, how is this exaggerated? This is what your father requested. Father is too bored, right? Yi Lu couldn't help but ask. Qin Yutong let out a long sigh. It is not only your father who is bored, all of us are very bored. Now that we finally have something to do, you all have to shoulder this responsibility. Our happiness will depend on you all. Gaji choked back his words. It feels like your happiness is built on top of our pain. How is there pain? I just want you all to let out a few screams. How big of a deal is this? The four children revealed out an expression of, I don't believe you all, causing Qin Yutong to feel a bit gloomy. No matter what, I am still a person who is at the level of an ant, and yet, I am actually not being trusted by these children. This is an order, you all carry it out properly. Aunt, I will be leaving first. Bye-bye, little fellows. Looking at Qin Yutong leaving happily, Dong Wangli let out a light sigh, and is really bad. That's right, and she's the super kind. Yi Yan followed along and said. God Yi and Yi Lu didn't express anything, after all, it had already come to this. I'm going back first. Yi Yan seemed to be a bit anxious. Yi Lu teased, brother, how long has it been, and you are already thinking of sister-in-law? That's right, you can't be serious, right? Dong Wangli chuckled, looking as if she already knew about Yi Yan's background. TSK, how is that possible? I'm just afraid that that woman will get into trouble, so I have to look after her. Yi Yan said with a lie. After interacting with Chu Yu for the past few days, he discovered that there were a lot of cute parts about Chu Yu, and of course, there were also some parts that made him angry. But in conclusion, Chu Yu is still a good girl. It seems like I am gradually falling for her. This woman's schemes sure are deep, to actually use this kind of method to make me, Yi Yan, fall in love with her. No matter what, I, Yi Yan, am the eldest son of Yi family, and for you to get your hands on me so easily, I will definitely resist a bit to show my chastity. After hearing what Yi Yan said, the other three couldn't help but laugh, especially Yi Lu. After all, it has been so many years, do you still not know what kind of character your brother has? If it was the kind of woman who doesn't care about men, she would definitely not care about men, but if it was the kind of woman who cares about men, this is the kind of reaction I have. Men Yi Yan took a look at everyone, then stated once again, I'm really just going to take a look. I know, you should quickly go and take a look, in case your little wife disappears and you get anxious again. Dong Wangli said with a light smile. Seeing that both of her brothers have a girl that they like, she felt happy in her heart. Yi Yan revealed a helpless look, then hurriedly left. God Yi, you should go back and accompany Xian, as well, she can't leave you now. Dong Huangli said with a light smile. God Yi nodded his head, then left. Sigh. Dong Huangli suddenly let out a light sigh. Big sister, why did you suddenly let out a sigh? Yi Lu asked curiously. It's nothing, I just feel that, after growing up, life is truly a bit boring. Yi Lu pursed her lips, seemingly agreeing with what Dong Huangli said. Lu, do you have any plans for the future? Dong Huangli, who was sitting at the side, asked curiously. I plan to go out and take a walk by myself. The outside world is so big, I also want to go out and take a look. Yi Lu said with a light smile. It could be seen that Yi Lu truly wanted to go out and take a walk and perhaps even go out and take a look. Chapter 1369. Dong Huangli nodded her head. All right, the outside world is beautiful and depraved. Lu, you have to be careful. Big sister, I understand. Dong Huangli patted Yi Lu's shoulder and prepared to leave. Big sister, what do you plan to do in the future? Dad has already arranged everything. Dong Huangli said in a low voice. Her tone seemed to be filled with helplessness. If possible, I want to go out with Lu, but I can't disappoint Dad. Therefore, I have to make a choice. Who asked me to be the eldest? If I don't take responsibility, who else will? Yi Lu lightly held onto her big sister's hand and said with a smile, Big sister, it has been hard on you. It's not hard at all, it's just a change of lifestyle. Dong Huangli patted her little sister's shoulder, then left the room with a smile. Yi Lu looked at her big sister's back view and felt that her big sister is different from when she was young. Her big sister has always been chasing after Dad's footsteps without stopping. Chuyu, Chuyu, Chuyu. Yi Yan returned to the room and realized that Chuyu, the old woman, was missing. He started searching crazily in the room, even under the bed. He seemed to be a bit anxious. He searched the entire room, but he couldn't find Chuyu at all, so he hurriedly ran outside to search. After searching the entire palace, he still couldn't find Chuyu. Yi Yan panted a little and sat on the stone bench at the side. His gaze was a little unfocused as he said in a low voice, What's going on? Why am I in such a hurry? If she wants to leave, let her go. Anyway, father and mother are fine now and don't need her anymore. That's right, let her leave. What does it have to do with me? She's not anyone to me. Although Yi Yan said that, his brows were deeply wrinkled. He seemed to be very unhappy. Very unhappy. Why am I unhappy? It's as if my wife ran away with another man and made me a cuckold. His lungs were about to explode from anger. Suddenly, a sweet voice sounded out from outside. Xian, quickly go back, otherwise, God Yi will be anxious. Why would he be anxious? He doesn't even care about me. But if your big brother Yen gets anxious, he won't be able to find you. This sentence was obviously meant to tease. Chuyu proudly raised her chin. Him? Will he be anxious? The sun will rise from the west. Then, big sister Chuyu, see you tomorrow. Okay, see you tomorrow. The two ladies waved their hands. After all, they were the only ones who had a common language in this palace. Hence, Lu Xian came to look for Chuyu just now. The two of them went out for a walk and chatted. Yi Yan saw Chuyu at first glance, but his gaze was not friendly, as if he was about to flip out. Chuyu was a little confused. Didn't he just go out for a walk? Looking at him, it seemed like he wanted to eat her up. Come here. Yi Yan shouted coldly. Chuyu was a little frightened. Yi Yan looked a little scary, different from before. What's the matter? Why are you like this? Chuyu furrowed her brows slightly and walked up with small steps. Yi Yan looked at the woman in front of him, and his heart was filled with all sorts of emotions. When he saw that this woman had returned, his frustrated heart instantly calmed down. Yi Yan felt even more depressed about this. His heart was actually moved by this woman. MD. Yi Yan hugged Chuyu, who was in front of him. Chuyu screamed and fell into Yi Yan's arms. If you dare to run around in the future again, I will beat you to death. Yi Yan hugged Chuyu tightly and said. However, this sentence had a bit of a confession. Chuyu didn't expect that Yi Yan would actually say such a thing. However, when she felt Yi Yan's nervousness, she felt rather happy in her heart. However, she said, beat me to death then. In any case, you have always been bullying me. If I don't see you when I come back in the future, I will hang you up and beat you. Go and die. Yi Yan, who was overwhelmed with emotions, lowered his head and kissed Chuyu. Chuyu was immediately stupefied. Chuyu's first kiss was gone just like that. Yi Yan doesn't even know who he gave his first kiss to. Cough, cough, cough. A light cough suddenly rang out, and the two youngsters immediately separated from each other with an expression of, I didn't do anything just now. It's broad daylight, what are you doing? Yihua walked in with Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. When the two women heard Yihua's scolding, they thought to themselves, aren't you the same? In the past, did you even differentiate between day and night? Like father, like son. Dad, Mom, why did you two come here? What's the matter? Yi Yan hurriedly changed the topic. Just like his dad, when he met with a question that he couldn't answer, he would immediately change the topic. Yihua didn't expect that Yan was capable, kissing Chuyu just like that. You two really turned the act into reality. Not bad. This is how my son should be, how can I not have some tricks up my sleeves? It's nothing, you two can continue. Yihua originally wanted to say something, but his son wasn't free right now. If I let them warm up their relationship a bit more, when the time comes, they might really give birth to a child. At this moment, Qingye warned, Yan, treat Chuyu well, don't be so thoughtless. Oh, got it, Mom. Yi Yan let out a sigh of relief when he saw his dad and mom leaving. Just now, I was so scared that I almost peed in my pants. It's just like when I was young and got caught by my mom when I was doing something bad with my big sister. Yi Yan secretly took a look at Chuyu, who was beside him, and discovered that Chuyu's face was practically completely red. What about that? It's so awkward, haha. Yi Yan didn't know what to say anymore. Just now, it seems like I was too impulsive, and I even said some incomprehensible words. It's so embarrassing, why did I say those words? It's so embarrassing. When the atmosphere was right, some words were directly said out. But after the atmosphere was over, when Yi Yan recalled what he said just now, he felt that his face was burning hot, and he felt very embarrassed. Chuyu silently sat on the stone bench at the side, slightly lowered her head, and didn't say anything. Yi Yan looked at Chuyu's appearance. As a scumbag, I don't even know what to do. Yi Yan decided to just sit at the side, and the air seemed to have become quiet. Were you confessing just now? Chuyu suddenly looked towards Yi Yan and asked the question in her heart. Yi Yan went into a daze, then scratched the back of his head. What confessing? You are thinking too much. Oh, got it. Chuyu said lightly. However, as long as one isn't an idiot, one would be able to tell how disappointed Chuyu was. Yi Yan was naturally able to tell as well. Looking at Chuyu's expression, he felt a bit uncomfortable in his heart. Chuyu stood up and said lightly, I'm tired, I'm going in to rest for a bit. Yi Yan subconsciously grabbed onto Chuyu's small hand. The two of them maintained this position. A light breeze blew past, and Chuyu's black hair slightly fluttered, appearing very lively. Let's be together for the rest of our lives, okay? Chapter 1370. Yi Yan directly said what he wanted to say in his heart. All right, you old woman succeeded, this young Master Yi has fallen into your hands. Forget it, I won't be reserved anymore. But to be honest, in the past, when the scumbag Yi Yan confessed, I wasn't nervous at all, but today, I was especially nervous, a bit afraid that Chuyu would reject me. In the past, I didn't worry about this problem at all, because no woman would reject me. But with this Chuyu, it was hard to say. From this point, it once again showed that the easier it was to get a woman, the less treasured it would be, and the harder it was to get a woman, the more treasured it would be. Looking at Chiyu's back view, Yi Yan was a bit nervous. Humph, Chiyu snorted and directly walked into the house. This caused Yi Yan to be dumbfounded. What do you mean by this, Humph? Do you agree or not? Chiyu, what do you mean by this, Humph? Yi Yan hurriedly chased after her, but Chiyu closed the door with both hands. Bang! Yi Yan directly used his face to smash the door, very fierce. Io, Chiyu, you. Yi Yan was depressed. What is this old woman doing? This young master Yi doesn't even care that you are more than 100 years older, yet you actually Humph. Chiyu leaned on the door and lightly bit her lips, but there was a smile on the corner of her mouth. Chiyu, speak clearly, do you agree or not? Idiot. Chiyu couldn't help but scold. Can't you tell? Do you want me to directly agree? So embarrassing. What? You old woman called me an idiot. Do you want to be beaten by me? You are the old woman. Chiyu was furious. You want to live like this for the rest of your life? I will be angered to death anytime. Open the door. Not opening. Are you opening or not? Not opening. Do you want to live like this? You don't even like old women. How are you going to live like this? Chiyu said gloomily. I am only 100 plus years old, and I am still very young, but in your mouth, I have become an old woman. This is really infuriating. I like old women, alright, Chiyu. Perhaps it was this kind of quarreling that gradually warmed up the relationship between the two. Fate had come, and it couldn't be stopped. However, a few days later, Broken Meridian sect and deity institutions people finally moved out. There weren't many of them, but they were elite. There were 19 people in the group, including Qi Shuwen, Long Outyan, Elder Jiu, and the others. Of course, everyone was riding on a battleship. It was comfortable and could save time. We're almost there. Everyone, get ready. Lonesome Hatred stood on the deck and looked into the distance. Although he couldn't see anything clearly, he could feel the cold temperature. He really admired these northern people. How did they survive in such a cold place? News of this matter has long since spread out. I'm afraid that Voidless Empire has already imposed martial law. Changqing stood at the side of the deck and said calmly. Enduring Hatred's expression was calm. So what if martial law is imposed? We still have to do what we have to do. At most, we'll just kill our way in. I don't think there will be martial law. Qi Shuwen smiled as if he had a card up his sleeve. Why? Long Outyan asked curiously. Qi Shuwen looked at Elder Jiu, then said, because they won't put it to heart at all. You can be at ease. I have heard of Voidless Empire's arrogance before, but they seem to have forgotten one thing. Their opponents this time aren't small fries, they are Broken Meridian sect and deity institution. Lonesome Hatred snorted. I reckon that the other party is already panicking and thinking of how to settle this matter and avoid losses. Everyone couldn't help but nod their heads. Facing the strongest forces in the south, they definitely looked calm on the surface, but were actually panicking on the inside. After a long time, they finally arrived at the entrance of Voidless Empire. Looking down at the entire Voidless Empire from the sky, it was quite shocking, because they couldn't even see the end of it. Ordinary empires were only so big, and one could see the end of it with a single glance. They had heard that Voidless Empire was big, but they didn't expect it to be this big. There really isn't martial law. Someone in the surroundings cried out in surprise. That's right, there are only so many soldiers at the entrance of the city, it's the same on the city walls. How is this possible? They are completely not putting us in their eyes. Sect Master, this is an insult to us. That's right, Dean. From the way I see it, it is time for us to display our true strength and let these people see the strength of our south. The people in the north are just weaklings. Qi Shuwen and the others stood at the side and didn't say anything, choosing to wait and see. Let's go. Let's go and take a look. To actually be so arrogant. Lonesome Hatred directly leaped down from the ship. Seems like he was very displeased with Voidless Empire's disregard. After Lonesome Hatred jumped down from the ship, the others also jumped down one after another. Qi Shuwen had been waiting for this moment for far too long. He directly leaped down from the ship. Today is the day that Voidless Empire suffers a loss. Just thinking about it makes me a bit excited. Everyone arrived in front of the city gates and slightly raised their heads to look at the enormous city walls. Because of the reflection of the sunlight, the city walls were simply dazzling and blinding. When looking at the city walls from above, I didn't know that the city walls are so tall. But looking at it from above, the city walls are really very tall. Suddenly thinking of something, everyone hurriedly looked at the city walls. How can we possibly look up? Looking at the surroundings, there were still a lot of people entering or exiting the city, bringing along goods from other places, etc. The city could be counted as bustling with traffic, but here came the problem. When these ordinary people saw us and the others appearing, they actually didn't have the slightest bit of reaction. More than 10 people suddenly jumped down from the sky, and they even had grave expressions on their faces. Shouldn't you all be shocked? Shouldn't you all then run into the city and shout for help while wetting your pants? Sect Master, I didn't expect that Voidless Empire would be so arrogant, and even these ordinary people would be arrogant as well. They don't even put us in their eyes at all. Just when a man finished speaking, a madam at the side shouted out, "What are you all doing, blocking the road so that we can leave? Please move aside." Big sister, what do you think we look like? You actually dare to speak like this? The man said towards the big sister. You all are truly shocked, right? The big sister swept her gaze across the few people, then said gravely, if you all are going to enter the city to sleep, you all still have to apply for a temporary residence permit. I have connections, 1 gold coin per person. Everyone, temporary residence permit. This broken place even needs a temporary residence permit. I will sleep wherever I want to sleep. Temporary residence permit my ass. Dean, I feel that we should investigate the situation first. One of the people suggested. Chang Qing nodded his head. Indeed, we should investigate the situation first, then we will be able to directly save the children. Let's apply for a temporary residence permit first then. Chang Qing said lightly. Right now, Qi Shuwen was sure that those who are able to come up with something like a temporary residence permit are definitely people from the same hometown. From the looks of it, it is them. Chapter 1371. You sure have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. You even made a temporary residence permit. How troublesome, Enduring Hatred said unhappily. The lady next to him immediately stretched out her hand and said with a smile, bosses, that's a total of 19 gold coins. 19 gold coins wasn't much to Enduring Hatred's group, but it felt really weird. One of the people from Meridian Break Sect took out 19 gold coins and passed it to the big sister. The bright and dazzling gold coins indeed looked very comfortable, and the big sister had a joyous look on her face. I wonder where this group of people came from, they are so easy to swindle. Come with me. The big sister said with a smile. This extra income was pretty good. Perhaps in the future, she could often wait outside and use this trick whenever she saw a stranger. The group of people followed the big sister in front and walked into Voidless Empire. At the side of the entrance, there was a registration counter, and anyone who entered Voidless Empire for the first time would have to register. Of course, it was free of charge. Handsome, please register them. The lady walked to the front desk and grinned. Fill out some forms. The big sister took the form and handed it to Everlasting Hatred and Company. Then, she smiled and said, just fill it in. I won't disturb you anymore. Looking at the big sister leaving just like that, everyone felt that they had been tricked. However, no one would quarrel with a big sister over 19 gold coins. We are all overlords, and we also have the demeanor of a overlord. How could they have a conflict over 19 gold coins? They had to wait until the night to assassinate him. What are these things? Eternal Hatred couldn't help but let out a cold snort. I'm basically going to have to fill in my personal information, and even my marriage situation, Where did I learn this from? It wasn't that Qi Shuwen and the others hadn't seen Voidless Empire before. From the looks of it, this Voidless Empire is indeed opened by someone from the same hometown. Voidless Empire can already be considered to be Voidless Realm. Right now, Jiu Yi was even more worried. I have a subconscious fear towards Voidless Realm, and I am completely unable to shake Voidless Realm at all. Even if I have trained for so long, I reckon that it would still be useless. I am very clear about Qi Shuwen's goal, and I feel that it won't work, but it's also hard to say, even these things have to be filled out, it is simply an insult to us. One of Deity Institution's people said with resentment. Exactly. How could we fill in such a thing? Even if I die, I won't do it. What a bully. There were still some people standing at the side. Some were hesitating, while others had already filled in their forms. Faced with the curses from the lonesome hatred people, the others remained silent. The handsome guy at the front desk shouted, "What's with the noise? If you want to fill it up, then fill it up. If you don't fill it up, then turn left and leave the city." Ouch! My bad temper. How dare a mere scribe be so arrogant? One of the Meridian Breakers couldn't take it anymore and looked like he was about to fight. He had been around for so long and had never met such an arrogant person. The handsome guy stared at the troublemakers and said faintly, "If you want to cause trouble here, then you have to clear up the consequences. Look at the wall, those are all troublemakers." Just now, I really didn't pay much attention to it, but now that I turned my head around to take a look, I saw that there were all kinds of weapons hanging on the wall. At first, he thought they were just decorations, but upon closer inspection, these weapons were all extraordinary. Presumably, their owners were very powerful. However, since the weapons were hung on the weapons, the owner should be, the handsome guy said again, "It's a great honor to be hung up there. At least we have to admit their strength. There are still many people who haven't been hung up. If you want to make trouble, there will be professionals to evaluate your strength and see if you can be hung up." Following what the handsome guy said, the others hurriedly filled in their personal information. However, Chang Hen said angrily, "I am not going to fill it up today. I still want to enter the city, let me see what you all are going to do. Who is making a ruckus here?" Suddenly, a sweet-sounding voice entered everyone's ears. Kai Yun could be seen walking out from the office at the back, and Luo Ho was following behind him. Luo Ho was the person in charge of this place. Kai Yun coming over this time was only a routine inspection. In any case, the public security of the entire city was managed by Kai Yun's Nan Wuqi. Playing around is one thing, but the things that should be done still have to be done seriously. Qi Shuwen, Long Outyan, and Jiu Yi looked towards Kai Yun, and all kinds of changes appeared on their faces. Long Outyan had a puzzled look on his face. After all, Long Outyan had never seen anything before. Long Outyan, who lived in the mountains, couldn't watch television. Qi Shuwen had seen Kai Yun before, but that was only on television. The scenes from back then immediately appeared in his mind. As expected, "It's you guys." When Jiu Yi saw Kai Yun, his gaze revealed out fear. Even if so many years had passed, he would still feel fear. Chang Hen asked gravely, "Who are you? Do you know who I am?" Kai Yun placed both of his hands behind his back. "I have seen this kind of situation way too many times, and I completely don't understand the situation at all. However, today is different, these people are all here to rescue Little Sovereign. As for whether it is really a rescue or not, no one knows. All right. In actuality, it is just that I know that they are coming today, so I came over to play. How can I miss out on such an interesting thing? I asked Yizizi to come over to play, and she still didn't come over to play. Who you guys are is not important. If you guys want to stay in Wushu Empire, then you have to honestly fill in the form. If not, please leave." Kai Yun had become much more polite right now. He had matured, just that, he did not grow taller, and was still a dwarf. In the entire team, only Yizizi and Kai Yun were dwarves. Impudent. To actually dare to insult our sect master. Watch my palm. A person from Meridian Break sect shouted out indignantly, and a frightening pressure immediately burst out from his palm. As expected of an expert that Chang Hen brought over. The staff at the side had a calm look on their faces. After all, after seeing such a scene, it was a very boring thing. Kai Yun did not even need to make a move. Luo Ho, who was behind him, pointed out with his finger. His finger directly stabbed into the center of the palm. After stabbing, Luo Ho shouted out loudly, "Watch my finger." Everyone, this fellow actually did not follow the rules, this is practically a sneak attack. Ah! The man cried out in pain, and cold sweat poured out of his body as he held on to his palm. Chang Hen's brows wrinkled. Although it was just a small contact, I can feel that this man is very strong. With a single finger, he actually gained the upper hand. As expected, this Wushu Empire cannot be underestimated. Also, this girl, I'm afraid that she is even stronger than this man. She should be at the same level as me, I wonder if there is anyone stronger than her. However, Jiu Yi did not think that way. I have naturally seen this man before, and with that finger just now, there is definitely a suspicion of him going easy on Yi Zizi. If Yi Zizi were to use his full strength, I'm afraid that even dregs of this man would be an extravagant hope. I'm really sorry, seems like there is a bit of misunderstanding between us. Chang Qing was rather slick, if not, he wouldn't have been able to stand out and become a headmaster. Chapter 1372. What misunderstanding? Kai Yun asked curiously. Chang Qing paused for a moment. This Wushu Empire is indeed very arrogant. Fortunately, no one here recognizes us, if not, if this matter were to spread out, we would lose a lot of face. No matter what, we are the most powerful people in the south, yet after coming to Wushu Empire, we were first cheated, and then provoked. However, we can only bear with it and look for an opportunity to save all of the children. This person seems to be the Dean of the Southern God Academy. Suddenly, a person who was filling in the form said. His tone was filled with doubt and uncertainty. As expected, following the person's words, Chang Hen and Chang Qing's expressions stiffened. We were actually recognized. It seems like our influence is quite big, even the people in the north know of us. How is this possible? The Dean of the Southern God Academy is a supreme-level person, why would he come here for no reason? Furthermore, looking at them, they seem to be very weak, it shouldn't be, everyone, to actually say that we are weak. That is just because we haven't revealed our true strength yet. If we were to reveal our true strength, the entire Wushu Empire would probably turn into ashes. You are from the God Academy? Kai Yin asked despite knowing the answer, wanting to see if they would admit to it. Chang Qing smiled slightly, of course not. I actually have to deny my identity. Forget it, for the sake of saving the children, I'll just suffer a bit. Kai Yun smiled. These people are quite interesting, to actually deny my identity. Are they trying to observe the situation from the shadows and save little sovereign? I still have to observe them. Let's forget about what happened just now, fill in the form properly, and you all will be able to walk around the city freely. If not, if you are found without an identity card, you will have to be detained for 15 days, don't blame me for not reminding you all. Kai Yin smiled slightly, then left with Luo Ho, preparing to report this news to his honor. These people came, and they are very low profile, very illogical, needs to be observed. Looking at Kai Yun and the others leaving, Chang Hen said indignantly, Chang Qing, what happened just now? Chang Hen, our main goal this time is to save the children, after we save the children, we will make other plans. Chang Qing was still looking at the big picture, and did not do anything too extreme. If he really did something too extreme just now, the situation might be different. Chang Hen let out a deep breath, suppressing his anger. After I save the children, I will teach Wushu Empire a lesson. They were simply arrogant, and there were even scammers. Unwillingly, he filled in the form and received his ID. How is this even a temporary residence permit? I've obviously been scammed, that woman, if I were to bump into her again, I'm going to pull out her tongue. When he said that, he did it. As the group walked on the streets of Voidless Empire, they could not help but sigh in their hearts. As expected of the most impressive city in the north. There is not a single speck of dust on the street, and there is even a trash can at the side. This is indeed a pretty good idea. But when they saw an undead walking past them, they immediately lost their composure. There were actually mutated races in this city. Look at this undead race, they were actually swaggering around buying buns. This Void Empire is simply overturning the heavens. Let the outsiders live there. One of them said coldly. They didn't have any good impression of the other races. After all, back then, the place where Yihua caused trouble was in the south, and this caused the entire south to hate the other races. Right now, seeing a member of a different race walking past me, and I'm just looking at them, how can I remain calm in my heart? We should gather everyone to attack Voidless Empire. This kind of action is equivalent to going against the humans. I really want to twist that undead race's neck. Look, there is even a lion man over there. Too lawless. I am going to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Changqing said gravely, enough. All of you, be quiet, do not forget about the mission this time. We will discuss this matter in the future. No matter what, Changqing was the dean of the academy. Everyone didn't say anything, but their faces were still filled with killing intent. On the other hand, Qi Shuwen and the others were rather calm. This kind of thinking did not form in their minds. Towards the mutated race, they were only curious, and did not have any deep hatred towards them. Especially Long Outyan. Back then, Death Assassin was also a mutated race, but Death Assassin was a good mutated race. After all, regardless of whether it was a human or a mutated race, there were good and bad mutated race. Let us go and inquire about the news right now. Changqing calmed down. In actuality, Changqing had always been calm in the past, but Dong Huangli and God Yu were both kidnapped, causing Changqing, who had always been calm, to be unable to calm down anymore. Where is the place to inquire about the news? Of course, it would be a tea house. That place is simply a gathering place for gossip, the group asked around. Wushu Empire's largest tea house. After a long while, everyone sat in Wushu Empire's best tea house, and their expressions were a bit grave. I feel like I was scammed by that passerby again. The decor of this tea house is indeed high-end, and it looks very luxurious. However, this isn't the kind of tea house that I want. To actually prepare a luxurious private room for me. We are all on the same side, how are we supposed to inquire about the news? What's even more ridiculous is that the fee is actually 1,000 gold coins. This is practically no different from robbery. However, since we are already here, and we have already paid the fee, it's better for us to have a good rest. I don't believe it. The emperor here doesn't know that we are here. Changqing slammed onto the table and shouted. From the looks of it, he was a bit unable to remain calm again. Qi Shuwen, who was at the side, said lightly, indeed, the battleship stopped right above the city gate. It is impossible for the emperor to not notice it. Therefore, there is only one possibility left. He is completely not putting us in his eyes. Do it. I have to do it. Changqing rubbed his forehead. The other party is indeed looking down on me. As the strongest in the south, I should give them a response and counterattack. However, how should I counterattack? That is the problem. At this time, a waiter walked over while carrying a tea set, and on the waiter's face was a professional smile. Little brother, did anything big happen in Wushu Empire recently? Jiu Yi asked curiously. The waiter said with a slight smile, you all must be from outside Wushu Empire, right? Something big is indeed going to happen in Wushu Empire recently. Everyone immediately became interested. What big matter? Qi Shuwen seemed to be a bit anxious. His Majesty gave the order to execute 4 youngsters, and they seem to be spies, right? Youngsters. Spies? Changqing and Changqing said at the same time. Their intuition told them that those 4 youngsters are definitely children, I feel that I am already unable to stand anymore. I have to immediately rescue them. Why would they come here to be spies? Could it be that they came here to check out the situation for us, and in the end, they got captured? These silly children. This is too touching. Chapter 1373. That's right, our emperor hates spies the most, so this time, the execution will be carried out in the execution ground. Execution ground? Long Outyan asked curiously. The attendant seemed to be very excited, and he almost spat out his saliva. You guys definitely don't know about the execution ground. This execution ground is a very great place, and it is also the most outstanding design of Voidless Empire. It was specially designed for those who don't care about their lives, just that the execution ground has not been opened for a very long time. It has been more than 10 years already. When I think about the people who were executed in the execution ground, that scene, that atmosphere, I will never forget it in my entire life. To be able to live here is simply a blessing that I have cultivated for several lifetimes. Everyone looked at the attendant's exaggerated expression and was a bit stupefied. What's so nice about a place that executes people? A place that executes people is indeed not nice, but to execute a lot of people at once, that's a different story. Although there are only 4 youngsters this time, it is the first time in so many years, so everyone will still go and watch it. The tickets are going to be sold soon. We have to quickly line up to grab the tickets. If not, we won't have the money to buy the tickets from the scalpers. Those damned scalpers, curse them to have a tragic life. The group of people sighed in their hearts. This man's curse is truly vicious. Chang Qing asked confusedly, little brother, when is the execution going to be held? Where can I buy the tickets? The tickets will be sold in the afternoon, and the execution will be carried out at night. This is also because Voidless Empire's population is increasing more and more. Back then, it was still free to watch the execution ground. Sigh, an empire that is too outstanding is also very troublesome. The attendant smiled slightly, then left the room. After the attendant left, Chang Qing and the others' expressions became grave. The time is too short. The execution is actually going to start tonight. This empire is simply too dark. To actually make things difficult for 4 children, this is simply inhumane. No wonder they allow other races to live in the empire. It isn't without reason. Dean, what should we do? They are not giving us any time to prepare at all. They are going to start tonight. Chang Qing and Chang Hen looked at each other and seemed to have made a decision. Since it is going to be at night, we can only raid the execution ground. Seemingly having made up his mind, Chang Hen calmed down and said faintly, at night. We must definitely save the children. The plan has changed. We will directly raid the execution ground, then bring the children and kill our way out. This is the only way. Evergreen said in a low voice. There was no other way, even though this was the worst option. On the other hand, Qi Shuwen appeared to be very calm and collected. With the strength of these people, they will definitely be able to fight against that Voidless Realm expert. Their worries were groundless. Jiu Ye's expression remained solemn, causing Long Outyan, who was at the side, to feel curious. Jiu Yi, why do you look so pale? After such a thing happened, would it be good if he didn't look bad? Proud heaven, this matter isn't as simple as we think it is. If you can, run away. Lord Jiu gave the most pertinent suggestion. Although Qi Shuwen had treated them well, this was clearly sending them to their deaths. Furthermore, they were even holding their heads up. This was simply like lighting a lamp in the toilet. Long Outyan was confused. Besides, Long Outyan was a loyal man. How could he run away? Qi Shuwen had saved his family. No matter what, he had to help Qi Shuwen. When Lord Jiu saw that Long Outyan did not say anything and chose to acquiesce, he sighed in his heart. In the end, he was still too young and did not know the depth of the water. Since they had made up their minds, they went to line up to buy the tickets. The group of people felt that there shouldn't be anything wrong with queuing up, so it didn't matter if they went early or late. When they saw the queue that was as long as a dragon, Chongqing and Chonghen felt that. It was so long, so annoying. Why don't we go and buy the tickets from someone else? How long do we have to queue up for? One of the people suggested. This suggestion received unanimous approval. It was a very good suggestion. Seeing a young man walking over after buying the tickets, one of the people walked over and said with a smile, "Little brother, are you selling this ticket?" "Not selling." Isn't your answer too fast? Do you need to consider for a while?" "Not selling." 1,000 gold coins. Are you sick? Hurry up and go and take your medicine. The young man waved his hand and left. He was truly arrogant. At the very least, everyone had experienced that in Wushu Empire. Not only was the empire arrogant, even the people who lived in the empire were very arrogant as well. Give more. Are we the kind of people who lack money? We are just using money to buy time. Chonghen said gravely. Since the other party is not willing to sell for 1,000 gold coins, you can add more points. Add an additional 100 gold coins, maybe the other party will be tempted? Yes. Sect Master. Very quickly, a little child licked a lollipop and walked over. From the looks of it, it seemed like he belonged to the type that was easy to trick. Little friend, are you selling the ticket in your hands? Selling? The little friend said innocently. As expected, when everyone heard the word sell, they were overjoyed. We finally met someone who likes money. Then, little friend, how much are you selling it for? Uncle, I'm not selling it for gold coins. Not selling it for gold coins? Then what are you selling? Exchange, just use the best thing that you have on you to exchange for it. Damn, this little friend is really cunning. He might as well directly take out the worst longsword. Although it was the worst longsword, it was shining brightly, and with a single look, one could tell that it was a high-end longsword. Little friend, what do you think of this? You still have the cheek to take out such a lousy sword, bye-bye. Everyone, wait, what about this sword? Lousy sword. What about this sword? Almost. That. This sword. That sword. The little friend's eyes lit up. This sword is not bad, I can't exchange for it. Exchange your sister. Woo, bully. The little friend was bullied, and he wiped his tears and ran away. One of them said indignantly, just who is the one bullying who? That's right, I don't believe that there isn't anyone here who likes money. After 2 hours of questioning, everyone discovered a problem. In this empire, there really isn't anyone who likes money. I just want to exchange with you. If it's possible, aren't these extras supposed to be arranged beforehand? Forget it. I'll just queue up. But who knew that the person who took a picture of the entrance actually said that the tickets were all sold out? Everyone's expression was as dark as it could get. I really want to raise this place to the ground. But when I thought of the consequences, the children's lives would be at stake, I forcefully endured it. This damned place, I won't come back even if I'm beaten to death. Dean, what should we do now? Chongqing's expression was grave, and it was very obvious that he was maintaining his calm. After a long while, he let out a long sigh. Let's exchange for it with some of our brothers. Dean. Exchange. Exchange, we must exchange. Dean, this scene was truly tear-jerking. It was too touching. Since we have decided, let's exchange. Chapter 1374. But these people. Each and every one of them was like an expert. Even if they wanted to talk nonsense, they would not be able to beat them. They were even more knowledgeable than a supreme martial artist like him. What was the meaning of wanting to cry but having no tears? This was probably it. This kind of feeling is really terrible. I don't have any experience at all. Looking at the ticket in his hand, chanting hatred really wanted to crush it. A piece of paper like this actually took away a top-notch weapon. Although it wasn't his strongest, it was still in the top 3. Damn it. Dean, let's go eat. I have no appetite. There seems to be someone selling hot dogs over there. Do you want to go and have a taste, Dean? I'm not going. Evergreen was infuriated. You still have to eat, although I'm also very annoyed now, Lonesome Hatred advised softly. Changqing nodded. A moment later. What is this? It's so fragrant. The more I chew, the more fragrant it becomes. Boss, another one. There's even barbecue here. This fragrance is something I have never seen before. That sizzling sound seems to be calling out to your taste buds. Boss, how much are you selling these skewers? What is this? Fried dumplings? It looks really good. Boss, give me one. Walking into this street of snacks, everyone seemed to have forgotten their proper business and began to replenish their energy. Qi Shuwen and the other two were also eating. I feel that this is the taste of my hometown. It's so fragrant. The originally gloomy crowd had completely dissipated in the face of these delicacies. It seemed that delicacies and snacks could really make people happy. When night fell, everyone sat at the stall and drank cold starched jelly. I didn't expect that apart from being arrogant, this empire has so many good things to eat. Yeah, I've never eaten these things before. It's too delicious. I'll settle down here in the future. As soon as he said this, everyone glared at him, as if they didn't want to stay here anymore. Under such circumstances, he was a little envious of the local residents who could enjoy such food every day. It's about time, let's go in. After enjoying the delicacies, it was about time for them to get to work. When the Voidless Empire fell into the enemy's hands, they could arrange for all these bosses to go back. This was a pretty good idea. Everyone drank the bowl of cold powder in one gulp and felt like they had brought out the spirit of drinking. Then, swish swish swish. The group of people actually smashed the bowl. The boss was dumbfounded. Were they a bunch of lunatics? He was dressed so well. Was there something wrong with his brain? Why did he take out his anger on a bowl? Stop right there. Pay up. The boss looked very fierce. No matter who you are, smashing things is wrong. In the Voidless Empire, there was actually a different phenomenon. Some people with power would usually avoid conflicts with others. It was still fine if he was in the right, but if he were to bully others, then 15 days of deluxe sleeper, free travel, 3 meals included, hot water bath. And this was just the starting price. If he encountered a bad situation, then there was really nothing to say. It was guaranteed for a whole year, or even a few years. Therefore, it could be said that this boss was in the right, and he wasn't afraid at all. After all, the entire Voidless Empire was his backing. Even if the backing of these people was very strong, the Voidless Empire wouldn't be afraid. This was also why everyone loved this city. Fair, just, and open. What are you shouting for? Here's a gold coin. One of them directly took out a gold coin and dropped it on the table. It clanked and even spun, and the ear-piercing sound was very mocking. The boss originally didn't want to fuss about it. Forget about paying up, a gold coin can buy a lot of bowls. However, the other party's attitude was too vile, to the point that even the stall at the side couldn't stand it anymore. Seeing that the group of people were about to leave, the boss directly stopped the last person. You're not allowed to leave. Do you have a problem? The man swung his hand and directly threw the boss onto the ground. The entire place was silent. In the entire Voidless Empire, it had been a long time since someone was so reckless. To even beat someone up on the street. 1 year start, 3 years cap. If the other party was injured, the punishment would start from 3 years, 10 years cap. If the other party was crippled, the punishment would start from 10 years, 10 years cap. Looking at the current situation, if the boss were to go and report the case, this person would have to be at least a year. Beat someone up. Beat someone up. The boss who was sitting on the ground suddenly shouted out, attracting even more people's attention. The yellow armored warrior who was patrolling at the side turned his head and looked over, then slowly walked over. Everyone opened up a path for the yellow armored warrior. They loved to see the scene of a bully being punished. Changhen and Changqing's expressions were a bit displeased. Even at this time, there are still more problems. To even start beating someone up, isn't he still asking me to clean up his mess? Changqing, these are your people, hurry up and deal with them, don't waste time. Changhen instructed. Time waits for no one. Changqing nodded his head, then glared at the man who just beat someone up. The latter slightly lowered his head. He had forgotten what he was doing, and it was because he was at another place. If it was at another place, the other party would have to kneel down and beg him. However, this was Voidless Empire, a place with laws. 5 yellow armored warriors stood at the side of the boss, and one of them took a step forward. With a single look, one could tell that he was the squad leader. What's the matter? They smashed my bowl, and even beat me up. The boss pointed at the group of people and said with a wrong tone. The yellow armored warrior looked towards Changqing's side and asked lightly, "Is it like this?" Changqing felt that he had truly been wronged today. He had truly been wronged to the point that he wanted to die. Ever since he was young, he had never felt so wronged before. It's a misunderstanding, it's a misunderstanding. We were shocked by Voidless Empire's grandeur. We have truly broadened our horizons. After drinking, we got a bit dizzy and did some extreme things. We are truly sorry. Changqing's tone was still very low-key, at least it made the boss feel that he was very sincere in his apology. Dizzy from drinking starched jelly? The way the yellow armored warrior spoke was still a bit emotionless. After all, he was not a human. However, this sentence of the yellow armored warrior caused the surrounding people to burst into laughter. Dizzy from drinking starched jelly, you guys are truly too awesome. Hearing this kind of laughter, everyone wished that they could directly kill these people and make these people shut up. However, I can't do that, I feel so wronged. Changqing squeezed out a smile, then walked to the front of the boss and squatted down. I am truly sorry, my subordinates are a bit incompetent and made you feel wronged. Can these people? The boss was also a man with dignity. He looked at the man who just spoke and said, "Apologize to me, and I will let this matter go. If not, I will definitely pursue this matter to the end." Did you hear that? Apologize. Changqing said gravely. The man took a look at Changqing, seemingly saying, "Dean, this is too, hurry up." Changqing said coldly. The man was a bit scared, and while looking at the boss, he shouted out honestly, "I apologize for my actions just now." Chapter 1375. The boss was relieved after hearing that. The surrounding people immediately applauded. Of course, it was for the yellow armored warrior. Hearing such a warm applause, Evergreen and Everlasting Hatred pretended to be calm, but they had completely lost all face. Luckily, no one here knows the identity of me and the others. If they knew and this kind of gossip was spread out, wouldn't I lose my face? What are you waiting for? Let's go. Evergreen coldly snorted. When encountering such a thing, he could swallow it down. He only wished to save the children and bring them away. Then, he could properly plan how to settle this debt. Qi Shuwen and the others stood at the side and did not say anything. I feel that, there seems to be, some other purpose. After leaving the snack street, Everlasting Hatred whispered, "Evergreen, did you see through the strength of those patrolling guards just now?" "No, but it gives off a very sharp feeling," Changqing said in a low voice. "There's also a feeling of not being human." "That's right. This Voidless Empire is a little strange. We have to be careful." The two of them had grave expressions on their faces, and of course, Jiu Ye's expression was the same as well. As for the others, they appeared to be very relaxed. Isn't it just an empire, so what if he was the leader of the North? In front of the Broken Meridian Sect and Deity Academy, he was just an ant-like existence. There was no way for him to win. Just now, he had retreated because he needed a better chance to rescue them. Although it couldn't be said to be elusive, it was still above board. Following the crowd, they slowly entered the execution grounds. After entering, Evergreen heard a faint sound in his ears. The yin qi in the entire execution ground was very thick, but it was blocked by an aura field, preventing these souls from leaving. This method was truly devoid of conscience. For ordinary people, they wouldn't be able to sense it, but for the powerful supreme martial artists, they would be able to sense it very clearly. If they used a special technique, they would be able to see countless souls floating in the sky above the execution ground. This Wushu Empire's emperor is truly vicious. One of them couldn't help but say. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was utterly devoid of conscience. Long Outyen did not express his opinion. One could not just look at the present. What these souls had done before they died was the most important thing. It was not without reason that they received such a punishment. According to the numbers provided on the tickets, everyone sat down one by one, as if they were listening to a play. An execution ground was actually made into such a unique scene. Look at the surrounding crowd, they are all holding. What the hell? Drinking water will make you burp? Also, what was inside the barrel? It looked quite delicious. Looking at my hands again, there isn't anything at all. What are they holding in their hands? Chang Qing asked in a low voice. Dean, I'll go ask. Long Outyen smiled and said, Dean, these are called cola and popcorn. You know about these things? Lonesome Hatred asked. There was one at the snack street just now. Lonesome Hatred said to his subordinates, go buy some and try it. Yes. 4 to 5 people stood up and went to buy snacks. Jiao Yi felt that this was just like watching a movie. You're here to save people. Can't you put the food aside first? It's better to be serious about this kind of thing. After a while, everyone had a cup of cola in their hands, and it was even iced up. Paired with popcorn, it was simply a masterpiece. Burp. Chang Qing couldn't help but let out a burp. Looking at the thing that was called cola in his hand, after drinking this thing. I feel so good. My entire throat feels as if it is being choked, and that kind of refreshing feeling that comes from my heart makes me unable to stop even if I want to. This was 10,000 times better than the tea he used to drink. Damn it, I simply can't stop. This feeling, it's as if I've returned to the past. Long Outyen let out a burp and couldn't help but mutter. This is the taste of home. It has been almost 13 years since I came here, and today, I have simply tasted the taste of home. Back then, I still wanted to come here to settle down. If only I had persisted a bit more back then. I really don't know what to say about this. That's why, every choice has a consequence. Life is spent in the midst of continuously making choices. Qi Shuwen couldn't help but think back then, watching a movie and drinking cola. I don't need to think like this. Over there, I was suppressed, and only over here can I display my abilities. The execution ground was gradually filled up, and there were at least 200,000 people seated there. There were shiny artifacts placed around the execution ground that emitted white rays of light in the dark night, lighting up the execution ground. To the people in Wushu Empire, this kind of method was a bit strange. After all, in the past, the execution ground was always carried out during the day, but today, the execution ground was carried out during the night. Chang Qing and Long Hatred also learned that this kind of artifact could be used in such a way. In the future, when the Academy holds a martial arts competition, it would also be a good choice to carry out the competition at night. Suddenly, all of the artifact lights were gathered at the entrance of the execution ground. Everyone present was cheering. What kind of feeling was having 200,000 people cheering? It was definitely able to make one's blood boil. However, what the two big shots couldn't understand was, this is the execution ground. Why are these people so crazy? The purpose of the execution ground was originally to shock and awe, and after a few shocks and awe, the execution ground seemed to have turned into a strange festival. Everyone seemed to be very willing to see the end of the bad guys, and then tell their own families that one should cherish one's life. Swoosh! The iron gate at the entrance was opened. Chang Qing and Long Hatred put down the popcorn in their hands, feeling that the children should have appeared. Those foolish children, I should have personally gone to the execution ground earlier, they might not have done such a foolish thing. The children did not come out, but the yellow armored warriors that came out, the sound of the armor rubbing against each other could be heard, and the atmosphere was filled with killing intent. The entire place immediately quietened down, and this was much more useful than anything else. Long Hatred and the others could feel that everyone was carrying respect, and reverence, and even fear. The yellow armored warriors stood in a row along the side of the execution ground. Soon after, the species that made Changqing and Long Hatred fearful appeared. A skeleton could be seen, wearing a golden armor and walking out. That cold and arrogant expression made everyone who was sitting at the entrance hold their breaths. Everyone knew that there were also people from different races within the royal family's personnel. This skeleton. Changqing looked towards Death Assassin in shock. Long Hatred doesn't know either. The feeling that this skeleton is giving me is very similar, very similar. However, the only difference is that this skeleton seems to be the little brother. That skeleton from before is the big brother. Long Outyan and Jiu Yi, who were sitting at the side, also had a face full of astonishment. Isn't this Teacher Skeleton? Back then, he suddenly disappeared. Why did he appear here? Chapter 1376. Long Outyan had n number of question marks in his heart, but he was certain in his heart that this is Teacher Skeleton. After all, we have been together for so many years, I am able to sense it. Jiu Ye's heart was also filled with doubt. I feel that something is amiss. What's wrong? Do you know each other? Qi Shuwen noticed that there was something off about the two of them and asked curiously. We were together in the past. Long Outyan was rather honest. Master Jiu sighed in his heart. Long Outyan had really changed. He was so crafty in the past. This was a family that had changed a man. Together? Qi Shuwen was even more confused. Why were you together with an undead? This is a long story. Long Outyan didn't want to say too much. Seeing that Long Outyan didn't want to say too much, Qi Shuwen felt a bit displeased in his heart, but he didn't say anything. Perpetual Hatred and Evergreen heard it as well, but they both knew that Death Assassin stood at the center of the execution ground and swept his gaze across the entire execution ground. Clang. Death Assassin could be seen pulling out the long sword from his waist and pointing it towards the sky, and all of the yellow armored warriors in the surroundings also pulled out their swords. The atmosphere was ignited. It was a simple action, but it made the 200,000 people in the audience blush. They could no longer suppress the excitement in their hearts and burst into cheers. This was the strength of Voidless Empire. Just a single action was enough to make one go crazy. Evergreen and Everlasting Hatred were also dumbfounded. Wasn't this a little too exaggerated? Was it really that crazy? It was nothing to the strong, but ordinary people could easily be affected by the atmosphere. Death Assassin was very satisfied with this scene. It can be said that I have achieved the desired effect. Death Assassin slowly walked to the side. However, at this time, a person wearing a black gown walked out, and in his hand was a huge sickle. This kind of iconic weapon made Jiu Yi think of a skeleton that likes to fish. He even likes to smoke cigars, and when he smokes, his entire body would emit smoke. Death Mage slowly walked to the center of the execution ground, then took off the black hood and revealed a skull. The appearance of two outsiders in a row, everyone felt that it was the Emperor's will. Suddenly, Death Mage raised the scythe in his hand, and in front of everyone's astonished gazes, he dropped the scythe onto the ground. Bang! A dull sound rang out. The scene in front of them changed in an instant, and the temperature suddenly increased, and the scene in front of them was actually in the depths of lava. To be more precise, there was lava flowing at the side of the execution ground, and the surroundings were all red-colored rock walls that were emitting a high temperature. Hurry up and drink some iced cola to calm your nerves. This. Changqing had a face full of disbelief. It wasn't just Changqing, even the people he brought were dumbfounded. Doubt was emitting out from Changhan's eyes. This doesn't seem to be an illusion. This temperature is real, and the molten lava below seems to be real as well. This alien race brought us to another place in an instant? Changqing said in a low voice. How was this possible? Teleporting with more than 200,000 people was something even he couldn't do. Indeed, back then, even Yi was unable to bring so many people along to teleport. From this, it could be seen that this was actually still a fake illusion, and the illusion was only able to deceive Chongqing and Chonghen. The temperature is controlled using magic, giving people a feeling that they are in the real world. As for those faces, in actuality, they are all water. After adding a bit of illusory magic on them, they will turn into magma, giving people the feeling that magma is flowing. This lord is quite quick-witted. He knows how to use his brain now. After Death Mage finished dealing with the effects of the arena, he slowly stood at the side, and Death Assassin obediently stood behind Death Mage. After all, it was a product that was summoned by Death Mage. However, even if it was a product that was summoned by Death Mage, it was still a very formidable existence. Right now, at the place where the door and the execution ground was, there was a long wooden board placed, and below the board was the molten lava. I'm really afraid that the wooden board would break apart, and if a person were to fall into the molten lava, they would most likely turn into fire and disappear. At this moment, a beautiful figure slowly walked out. The figure was wearing black skin-tight clothes, and her long beautiful hair was tied into a ponytail, looking very capable and experienced. Her footsteps were very straightforward, and she walked out with a sense of confidence. However, when Long Outyan saw this beautiful figure, he was completely stupefied. If I didn't see wrongly, could this be Qin Yutong? Qin Ye's little sister. Qin Yutong. And she's even a big celebrity. The scenes from back then immediately surged into Long Outyan's mind. That day, I was sitting inside Qing family, waiting for Qin Ye to come back. At that time, Qin Ye's dad promised me, and Qin Ye's grandfather also promised me that they would marry Qin Ye to me, and that Qin Ye was going to become my fiancé soon. However, on that day, Qin Ye actually brought another man into the house. Even now, I can still remember that man's appearance. Very handsome, even more handsome than me, even more pretentious than me. Imagine, the woman that I like, bringing another man back home, who would be able to understand that kind of feeling? No one would be able to understand that kind of feeling. Therefore, I wanted to let that man know how powerful I am. However, in the end, I discovered that it was completely useless, and I was instead made a fool out of. And that Qin Yutong, back then, I still wanted to hug two beauties into my arms. However, that day was the day of my darkness. Too many things happened. However, it was also on that day that I met Meng Meng. This must be the will of the heavens. It was also on that day that I was fancied by Teacher Skeleton. No, it's watching over me. Suddenly, Long Outyan went into a daze. Teacher Skeleton is very likely to be that man's underling, and was asked to watch over me. If not, why would I immediately be watched over right after I had a conflict with him? The more I think about it, the more I feel that it is possible. This woman is so beautiful. That's right. It has been a long time since I have seen a woman with such an aura. I didn't expect that there would be such a character in Wushu Empire. Chongqing's underlings beside him muttered to each other and sighed with emotion in their hearts. This woman is too beautiful. Her beauty is enough to bring calamity to a country. Even Chonghen revealed a surprised expression. Qin Yutong's performance was very good. After all, back then, it was very obvious that this kind of scene was very common. Thus, she appeared to be very calm. Slowly walking to the center, Qin Yutong stood with her hands behind her back, looked at the crowd, then said gravely, "Just a few days ago, 4 people who were lying in ambush were discovered. They were trying to disrupt Wushu Empire's order. This is a premeditated action. After going through torture, there was still no result, and thus, the execution was carried out here today. Let everyone know that Wushu Empire is not to be trifled with." Qin Yutong's words gradually carried killing intent, and her pair of beautiful eyes became especially cold. As expected of a movie empress. Kill. 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 Shouts immediately came from the crowd. Chonghen and Chongqing's expressions didn't look good, because they heard that the children were being abused. These vicious people actually didn't even let the children off. They are simply shameless. Chapter 1377. However, these children were all good. Under the interrogation, they did not confess. The other party had no choice but to use this method to understand them. He really had to give these children a thumbs up. If they knew that this was just a show that was targeted at them, I wonder what they would think. Would they not know whether to laugh or cry, or would they become angry out of humiliation? That might not be the case. This woman looks very familiar. Chi Shu-wen said in a low voice. I only know that she looks familiar, but I don't know where I have seen her before. Lord Zhou, who was at the side, also muttered, he does look familiar, but I can't recall where. I feel like I've seen him before. Long Outyan sighed. How could they not know each other? Back in the day, she was a household name. How could they have seen her on TV or seen her in the movies? However, she was much more beautiful now, and her temperament had also changed, so she only gave people a familiar feeling. However, Long Outyan had an evil thought in the past, so he was still able to deduce that she was Qin Yutong. However, Long Outyan didn't tell anyone that she was Qin Yutong. Of course, he was also curious as to why Qin Yutong was here. Could it be that she had taken refuge with that man? As expected. That man isn't a good person either. His thoughts are exactly the same as mine, and he is thinking about this pair of sisters. Furthermore, he even succeeded. He is simply shameless. Back then, I wanted to tell Chinya that that man is the same as me, greedy and insatiable. Right now, Chinya must be regretting to the point that her intestines are turning green. Later on, when I see him, I have to properly reminisce about the past. Back then, not choosing me was the right choice, but choosing that man was also the wrong choice. Long Outyan had no intention of fighting at all. He just wanted to catch up with his old friend. Inside the iron gate, Dong Huangli, who was the leader of the group, was already prepared. The 4 children were properly dressed up by Qin Yutong. The white prison uniform that Dong Huangli was wearing was filled with bloodstains, and there were also bloodstains on Dong Huangli's face. Their hair was also in a mess. To the children who loved to look beautiful, this was simply too hard to bear. Little Aunt is simply too bad. Whenever she gets a chance, she would prank me. How can there be such an elder, and my mother actually tacitly agreed to it? This family is simply too crazy. Lu, do you think our dean will just watch us die? Yi Yan asked curiously. Yi Lu didn't look like a goddess at all right now. She was about to cry because of her auntie. I don't know, Yi Lu said in a low voice. It was the same for Dong Huangli as well. Perhaps, this is father's intention, right? If sect head doesn't come and save us, it would also be good for us to give up. Dong Huangli's words received the affirmation from her little brother and little sister. Father's scheming is truly daring. Gaji sighed heavily. Sis, I think our sect master treats us well. He gives you everything you want, no matter how difficult it is. Yi Yan chuckled, then looked at God Yi and said, Brother, being nice to someone doesn't necessarily mean that you're being nice. Maybe it's because of benefits. If my sister didn't have this ability, would the sect master still be so nice? To put it bluntly, it's all because of our strength. In the future, we can bring glory to the sect or the institute. Yi Yan's words sounded very uncomfortable, but from a certain angle, that was indeed the case. Driven by benefits, I can indeed do many things. I can agree to any of your requests. Aya, don't be so serious. I'm just saying. Maybe they will come to save us. Dad won't make things difficult for them. Yi Yan smiled again. Yi Lu punched her brother grumpily. Brother, how far have you and sister-in-law progressed? God Yi grabbed onto the opportunity and teased. Yi Yan's eyes flickered as he said proudly, Of course, what should have happened has happened. However, in my heart. It was just a kiss on the lips, and then, there's no then. Every time I want to kiss her, I would feel nervous, and then I wouldn't dare to. Damn it, I've really let down my title of scumbag Yi. Even when I kiss her on the lips, I've become so timid, it's simply not like me anymore. So annoying. Sometimes, when I hold hands, I feel like I'm preparing for a battle. Oh. Everything happened? Dong Huangli laughed. Of course, who do you think I am? Isn't it just a matter of minutes? Seems like scumbag Yi still cared a lot about his face. The corner of God Ye's mouth slightly raised as he said, Why did I hear from Xian that you sleep in the side room every night? Damn it, how did I forget about this? Recently, Chuyu and Lu Xian have been quite close. What else can those two women talk about? This Chuyu is really something. You actually want to tell everyone about the matter of me sleeping in the side room, didn't you ask for it yourself? This old woman, I have to think of a way to get her. That day, it was a bit inconvenient, so I slept in the side room. Yi Yan said while stammering. Anyone with a discerning eye would be able to tell that he was lying. Dong Huangli laughed loudly, then pressed onto Yi Yan's shoulder and said, Your great aunt is here. Ha ha ha. God Yi and Yi Lu laughed loudly. It was very rare for these two blocks of ice to laugh like this. Only when these brothers and sisters were together would something like this happen. Yi Yan was incomparably gloomy as he said solemnly, Let me tell you guys, 10 months later, my son will be born. Alright, stop bragging, let's deal with Chuyu first. Dong Huangli laughed softly as she looked towards the side of the stage. Let's go. It's our turn to go on stage, put on the iron chains. Looking at the iron chains that were untied, the children helplessly cuffed themselves up. It's time for me to show off my acting skills. Dong Huangli took the lead and said seriously, Prepare your expressions. Let's go. When it's time to laugh, laugh, and when it's time to be serious, this is the spirit of a team. Outside of the stage, Qin Yutong shouted out, Bring out the prisoners. Dong Huangli took a step forward, and her face immediately became upright and plain-spoken, just like an angel of justice. Yi Yan, who was behind her, seemed to have become an authentic criminal, carrying an incomparably wronged expression on his face. Fortunately, Dong Huangli didn't see her brother's expression. If not, she would have smacked Yi Yan's head. What kind of expression is that? Yi Yan retorted with a straight face. I am fully expressing my current mood, shouldn't I be wronged? I have already been beaten to this state. God Yi and Yi Lu, who were behind Yi Yan, were putting on a poker face. In any case, no matter what, they would always have the same expression, and it was also the expression that was closest to Yi Hua's. As the four people walked out of the iron prison, the entire stage became silent. Right now, Eternal Hatred and Eternal Green were incomparably excited. They finally appeared. Although their faces were very dirty, they were still able to recognize them with a single look. After all, they had lived here for 12 years, even if they were to turn into air, they would still be able to endure it. It's the children, when are you going to make your move? Long Hatred said coldly. Since he had already confirmed it, he could make his move at any time. He wanted to finish the coke in his hand in one gulp. Chapter 1378. Chang Qing tightly wrinkled his brows, then said, Wait a moment, find a good opportunity to make a move. All right. These bastards. To actually beat up some children like this, they are simply inhumane. Chang Hen clenched his fist, feeling extremely indignant in his heart. Even if I caught a spy, I wouldn't beat them up like this. Under normal circumstances, would just directly kill them and give them a quick death. Qin Yutong looked at the children and almost couldn't hold back her laughter. Dong Huangli clearly felt it. What does laughter mean? Why is there such an expression? Looking at Yi Yan's expression, Qin Yutong's jaw almost dropped to the ground. Can this child be a bit more serious? Look at how wronged you are, as if I didn't give you any food to eat. Dong Huangli really wanted to turn around and take a look to see what exactly happened. All of you, stand in a row. Qin Yutong said coldly, then glared at Yi Yan, indicating that you are serious and don't cause trouble. Yi Yan felt even more wronged. This is the essence of acting, alright? And, you are a movie queen, and you don't even understand this? I am very disappointed, only Chuyu can understand me. However, Chuyu, who was on the viewing platform, also had a helpless look on her face. Sometimes, Brother Yen is just so indecent, making me not know whether to laugh or cry. Chuyu, Brother Yen is so interesting. Lu Xian, who was sitting at the side, laughed lightly. Chuyu rolled her eyes. What a joke, I'm really impressed. Aya, it's good that Brother Yen can make you happy. Look at the one at home, he definitely won't be like this. Be content with what you have. Lu Xian was also helpless. God Yi often has a poker face, he looks just like my father, exactly the same. Sometimes, I really can't take it, but now that I have boarded the pirate ship, I can't get back down anymore. Chuyu knew in her heart that Yi Yan and God Ye's personalities were like heaven and earth. Yi Yan's personality was still slightly better, God Ye's personality was not something that ordinary women could handle. Patting on the back of Lu Xian's hand, Chuyu smiled and said, "All right, God Ye treats you very well, you should be content." He, if he doesn't treat me well, see if I don't tell on him." Lu Xian pouted her small mouth, and a blissful smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Humans, all have flaws, and there is no perfect existence. Their personalities need to complement each other, and only then will they be able to stay together for a long time. Chuyu looked at Yi Yan, who was on the stage, and revealed out a smile. So beautiful. If Yi was still alive, they would simply look like twins. What a pity, Evergreen was currently in a very bad mood. I have watched Yi Yan grow up since he was young, and when have I ever seen such an expression on Yi Yan's face? Just look at that aggrieved look on Yi Yan's face. Evergreen must have definitely been abused inhumanely. Upon thinking about Yi Yan's stern face, Evergreen snorted and swore that he would definitely teach Wushu Empire a lesson and make those people pay the price. He would also let them know that his deity institution wasn't one to be trifled with. On the stage, Dong Huangli secretly took a glance at her younger brother, and the corner of her mouth slightly twitched. How did you learn to have such an expression? Yen, can you be more serious? Dong Huangli warned. At a time like this, if you still don't get serious, if something were to happen, the sect master and dean's lives would definitely be gone. Yi Yan said in a low voice, "I'm very serious. You won't understand." Everyone, Qin Yutong had no other choice and could only continue to shout out coldly, "Don't look at how young they are, in actuality, they have committed many evils. If not for my emperor's wisdom, I'm afraid that Wushu Empire would have already fallen into enemy hands today." Qin Yutong's ability to attract hatred is truly not bad. In an instant, she had raised everyone's hatred towards Yi Yan. After all, the reason why Wushu Empire was able to have such a life right now was all because of the imperial family. If the imperial family were to fall, this kind of life would be gone forever, and this was something that no one was willing to see. Thus, Qin Yutong's actions could be said to have caused public indignation. Kill them. Directly throw them into the magma. Dismember their bodies. To actually dare to cause trouble in Wushu Empire, they are simply not putting our emperor in their eyes. Qin Yutong was very satisfied. She spread out her hands, and the entire place immediately quietened down. The Empress will definitely fulfill your request. Now, let's invite the Empress to enforce the law. Qin Yutong shouted out. Everyone could be seen gathering on the high platform at the center of the stage. Everyone present knew that those who were able to stand on the high platform were all existences that were second to none in Wushu Empire. On the high platform, two illusory circles condensed, and two beautiful figures slowly appeared in everyone's eyes. Both of them were dressed in phoenix robes, and the golden patterns on the robes were clearly the phoenixes of the imperial family. Both of them were dressed in phoenix robes, and their dignified headgear gave off a very strong pressure. Qin Yutong suddenly discovered one thing. Dong Huangli said in a low voice, "Aunt, it seems like you have been scammed by Mom." "Yes, he must have been tricked," Yi Yan added. Qin Yutong was depressed. "Big sister is simply acting shamelessly. You guys didn't say that we are going to play like this. If I had known that it would be like this, I would have stood on the high platform and acted cool as well." I am truly envious of you. This time doesn't count. Let's do it again. Let's switch roles. Qi Shuwen saw Donghuang Baiji. This nightmarish woman would frequently appear in my mind. Back then, she also looked like this, dressed in gorgeous clothing, and appeared in front of everyone's eyes, while I sat below the stage and looked up at that proud figure. I didn't expect that so many years have passed. She is still standing on the high platform, while I am still sitting below the stage and looking up at her. This phenomenon has not changed at all. No. Back then, I didn't have the strength. That's why I lowered my body. The present is different from the past. Qi Shuwen, am no longer someone who sits below. I am someone who is able to stand on the high platform. After today, everyone will know of my great name, Qi Shuwen. Not that son-in-law, but the big figure who brought down Voidless Realm. All of you will have to look up at the back of me, Qi Shuwen, and worship me. Jealousy. Long Outyin finally saw Qinya. Right now, his heart was in a mess. How should I put it? I used to like Qinya in the past. Although there wasn't a happy ending, and I can't be considered as an ex-girlfriend, seeing how Qinya has become, I feel at ease. Qinya should be living a pretty good life. To be able to become this empire's empress, after this is over, I should go and meet this fellow from my hometown and ask if that man treats you well or not. If he doesn't treat you well, I, Long Outyin, will go and teach that man a lesson for you. Right now, Jiu Yi had a lingering fear in his heart. As expected of the Empress of Voidless Realm. Discomfort immediately emerged in Jiu Ye's gaze. Back then, I even attacked Voidless Realm and wanted to bring down the Empress, but now, the Empress has appeared again. Bring down the Empress? Look at this ostentatious display, it is simply even more powerful than back then. How am I supposed to bring down the Empress? Am I supposed to use my life to bring down the Empress? Meanwhile, Qi Shuwen was about to make his move. Crazy, this is definitely crazy. Shuwen, are you going to make your move? Jiu Yi said gravely. Although you have helped me a lot, I still have to make my move. Chapter 1379. However, this was a situation where one was courting death. One cannot be impulsive. Impulsive actions required a painful price to pay, and it was not something that an ordinary person could bear. Qinya and Donghuang Baiji, who were on the main stage, stared at the audience. It has been many years since I played like this. I really miss it a bit. However, this time, there was still the children's performance. It could be counted as a mother and children performing together. It was something worth remembering. We pay our respects to the Empress. A solemn shout suddenly rang out from the audience. The shout was extremely loud and clear, and it was filled with respect. My people, rise. Qinya slowly raised her hand, appearing very domineering. This made Long Outyin very emotional. In the past, Qinya was just a female general carrier, and her temperament was fierce. However, the current Qinya had completely changed. Not only was her temperament fierce, it was also filled with the aura of an iron-blooded empress. However, Qi Shuwen was very unhappy. In the past, I was suppressed by the empress, and today, I am being suppressed by another woman. Just wait a bit more, just wait a bit more, I will let you all know what a real person is. Donghuang Baiji said slowly, it is a pity that I have to punish 4 ignorant youngsters tonight. Although Donghuang Baiji said that, wasn't Donghuang Baiji also saying that you children are too immature and only care about your father? In the future, you should care more about your mother. The children seemed to be able to sense the meaning behind Donghuang Baiji's words and expressed that they were helpless. Although I am acting, my mother is also using this act to punish me. When Qi Shuwen heard Donghuang Baiji's words, he became very unhappy. This woman always speaks with an arrogant tone, as if she is the most powerful person in the world. She was like this back then, and she is still like this now. A woman should act like a woman, and it would be fine as long as she takes care of her husband and children. It could be seen that Qi Shuwen's mental state was very bad, to the point where he even had a kind of morbid feeling. Mental illness is also a kind of illness, and one needs to take medicine. Do you all have anything else to refute? Qinya asked towards the children. Her tone was cold and filled with lecturing. I would rather die than submit. Yi Yan suddenly shouted out with a strong determination, expressing that I, Yi Yan, will definitely not turn back. Qin Yutong and Dong Huangli were immediately speechless. Just a moment ago, you still had that innocent expression on your face, and in the blink of an eye, you became a justice warrior. Qinya really wanted to smack her own sons, but you are the most fart. However, what Yi Yan wanted to express was that, as a drama queen level character, he was especially particular about his psychological activities. The grievance he felt just now immediately exploded. Just like an honest person who was being bullied, the Buddha in his heart was suppressed, releasing a demon. That's what I, Yi Yan, want to express. Look at God Yi and Yi Lu. Their expressions don't change at all. What two unqualified actors. I'll never give a single cent to these group members. How unprofessional. Look at little Aunt, that gaze of hers is filled with astonishment. She is definitely impressed by my, Yi Yan's, acting skills. Little Aunt, do you have any interest in bringing your nephew to debut? In the future, she would definitely become an A-list superstar. Chiyu, that old woman, is really lucky to have a superstar as her husband. TSK TSK TSK. In the past, she must have broken countless wooden fish to be able to meet a man like me, Yi Yan. Evergreen looked at Yi Yan, his heart filled with admiration. As expected of the student he brought up. Even in this kind of situation, he still had the courage to resist evil. Yi Yan. Don't worry, the dean will risk his life to save you today. Qinya laughed lightly. This child, he even added more scenes for me. Since you all would rather die than submit, then I will fulfill your wish. Begin the execution. Qinya shouted out. This family game was especially exciting. With so many extras arranged, the scale of the game was also getting bigger and bigger. For fat butchers could be seen walking out from the iron door at the side. The butchers were holding on to large blades that were shining with silver light. There was no doubt that the sharp blades would definitely be able to chop off the heads of the butchers in an orderly manner. The speed of the blades was so fast that you would be able to see your own body falling down. When the children saw this, they felt that, this seems to be an extra scene, right? There wasn't such a scene in the past, it's definitely the mother, to actually trick even the children. How can there be such a mother, isn't she just siding with the father? To actually take revenge like this. The four fat butchers could be seen walking to the back of the children. Yi Yan turned his head and took a look at little Aunt. What kind of situation is this? Is this the revenge from a great mother? Qin Yutong expressed that she did not know anything at all. You all can do whatever you want, this scene still has to continue. The four fat butchers took down the wine flask on their waists, raised their heads and drank to boost their courage, then sprayed the wine onto the large blades. Yi Yan could even feel that the wine mist had drifted onto his head, and he hurriedly said, "Don't spray it, disinfecting it like this won't work." The butchers immediately became speechless. Disinfecting? Disinfecting it? It looks so disgusting. Yi Yan said again. Shut up. Qin Yutong shouted out helplessly. In the beginning, you were feeling wronged. Just a moment ago, you were upright and plain-spoken, and now, you are actually smiling mischievously. Do you still have any integrity as an actor? Yi Yan wanted to say, from just a moment ago, you would rather die than submit, to now, you are so relaxed. This is the mentality of facing death with equanimity, putting down all of the burdens and revealing your true self. To think that little Aunt, you are a movie queen, to not even understand this, right now, Lu Xiener couldn't help but laugh. Brother Yen is really too funny, he actually added so many scenes for himself, he will definitely be taught a lesson by mom and dad. Chuyu had a helpless look on her face. I really don't know what to do with him. If he messes up, he will definitely have to take the blame. He will indeed have to take the blame. Right now, the scene was completely silent, and the aura of death instantly engulfed the entire place. The children had an expression of, even if I die, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Especially Yi Yan, he even wanted to chat with the butchers who were behind him. As Yi Yan's butcher, the shadow in his heart right now was very big. Don't do things like this, little honor, it hasn't been easy for me. It wasn't easy for me. I was chosen because of my body shape, and I want to show off a bit so that I can make my debut in the future. Little honor, you actually want to chat with me? Isn't the mentality of a person at this time very complicated? Perhaps, they don't want to die, and their desire to live has reached an unprecedented peak. This is the normal behavior. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji both wanted to start over and properly discuss with Yi Yan. Aren't you tearing down mom's stage? Be careful that Chuyu cheats on you. Enough. Execute. Qing Yutong was preparing to use a ruthless medicine. If this is still unable to force you all to show yourselves, then that would truly be too disappointing. Therefore, please do not disappoint us. The four fat butchers raised the big knives in their hands, and under the illumination of the lava, the bodies of the knives became bright red, as if they were being burned by fire. The knives rose and fell? The knives rose, but the knives did not fall. Chapter 1380. Because the fat butcher was unable to move anymore, as if there was some kind of power controlling him, facing such a situation, the children felt a kind of joy in their hearts. This joy was indescribable, as if they had verified something, and indeed, they still made their move. Qingye and Donghuang Baiji also hoped to see such a scene. If not, wouldn't all that have been done be for naught? However, the things that should be said, have to be said. Seems like there is still someone who dares to oppose. Why don't you stand out, and let everyone take a look at you, the hero? Donghuang Baiji said faintly. No matter how powerful the enemy is, when they come to Wushu Empire, they would still have to behave properly and not act rashly. If not, the consequences would be rather severe. Since you wish to see, then I shall grant you your wish. Eternal Hatred's voice finally rang out, and it was filled with incomparable conviction. Swish, 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 tens of figures directly floated above the execution ground, looking majestic and imposing, displaying the demeanor of a great family. However, in the eyes of the masses, this was no different from courting death. This was the first time in the history of Wushu Empire that a situation like this had happened. This was simply not putting Wushu Empire in their eyes at all. This kind of behavior was indeed infuriating. However, one had to admire their courage, or perhaps it was their ignorance. Who are the people on the other side? Report your names. Qingye shouted coldly. Changqing stroked his sleeves. You already know the answer, yet you are still asking. Shen Institution's Dean sure is eloquent. Donghuang Baiji said faintly. I didn't expect that these people would really appear and come to save the children. Hearing that it was Shen Institution's Dean, the people on the scene went into an uproar. The big boss of the South actually appeared and directly went against Wushu Empire. This is truly shocking. As a mother, I am still very gratified. It was not a waste for me to leave the children in their hands for over 10 years. Changqing laughed lightly. Wushu Empire's empress is truly a heroine among women. Dean is too courteous. May I know what is the purpose of the Dean's appearance? Changqing looked at the children below and said softly, Empress, these are my students. If they have offended you in any way, please forgive them. They are, after all, just children, and they have just left the academy, so they do not know the immensity of heaven and earth. If they have offended you in any way, my Shen Institution's Dean will apologize to you. My Meridian Break sect master Eternal Hatred is the same. Donghuang Li and of God Yi are both my disciples, and God of Yi is my teacher. The actions of Changqing and Changhen caused Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to be very surprised. According to the script, they should have started fighting right away. Why are they being so low-key? As important figures of the South, they are apologizing right away. After I save the child, I will slowly settle the score with him. Furthermore, I still haven't figured out Wushu Empire's background yet. In order to save me, he put down his pride. This is truly moving. at this moment, Qingye saw a very familiar face in this group of people. Long Outyan? Was he Long Outyan? How is this possible? How is it possible for him to appear here? Didn't he go missing back then? Or could it be that this is just a person who looks very similar to me? Of course, if it wasn't for Long Outyan's existence, I wouldn't have gone to a bar to get drunk, and even indulged myself once. Although she had only indulged herself once, it was precisely because of this one time that she became entangled with Yi Hua. Originally, Qingye was still wondering whether or not this person was Long Outyan himself. However, when she saw the gaze that Long Outyan was looking at her with, she should be able to confirm that this person was indeed Long Outyan himself. At this moment, Long Outyan was also a little happy. After all, he could tell from Qingye's gaze that she still remembered him. How could he not remember? This was like jumping from one pit into another pit. Furthermore, this pit was not an ordinary pit, it was a heavenly pit. Isn't that person at the side Jiu Yi? Back then, Yi Hua even brought me to meet him. Why is he also in the group? Right now, Qingye was a little stupefied. Originally, it was just the children's problem, but right now, it seems to have escalated a bit. Right now, Yi Yan and Yi Lu secretly looked towards their mother, and discovered that their mother was a bit strange, and was looking at one of the people in the group with a strange gaze. The two couldn't help but imagine in their minds, could it be that she met her ex-boyfriend? If that's the case, then this matter is a bit scary. Qin Yutong also looked over, and upon taking a look, she got a fright. Although she had only met him once, but she also knew that the man who almost became her brother-in-law back then, Long Outyan. Why is this man in the group? It can't be that he still hasn't given up his evil intentions, right? Back then, he even said that he was going to take Big Sister and me into his pocket, but in the end, he disappeared. Without a doubt, it was definitely done by brother-in-law, the king of jealousy. Right now, Yi Hua and Wei Cheng were currently looking at the situation in the group. However, Yi Hua was a bit unhappy. Wei Cheng, who was at the side, knew why his honor was unhappy, but he didn't know how to explain. Why is he here? Yi Hua asked gravely. Your Honor, I don't know either. You don't know? Back then, didn't I tell you to arrange for people to watch over Long Outyan? Why did the guards become like this? Facing Wei Cheng's explanation, Yi Hua was very dissatisfied. It is subordinates' negligence. What else could Wei Cheng say? This is truly a headache. Looking at his honor's appearance, it seems like he is a bit jealous. However, this is also good, seeing that his honor is jealous. Your wife will be happy in her heart. After all, this is a display of caring. Don't talk about being jealous, just thinking about the situation back then, Yi Hua felt very unhappy. Your Honor, should we do something? Wei Cheng asked curiously. Yi Hua said gravely, no need, I want to see what they are going to do. Are they going to rekindle their old feelings? Your wife isn't going to that extent. I think she is a bit, Yi Hua was just saying those words out of anger. These few days, their relationship wasn't that stiff anymore, but right now, Yi Hua felt that something wasn't right when he suddenly thought about those unhappy things. Look at my wife's expression, no matter how I look at it, I just feel unhappy. Yi Hua paused for a moment, then said again, look at Qingye's expression, she even forgot to do her proper business. That scene brought back memories. Wei Cheng immediately became speechless, and decided not to interrupt anymore. Right now, his honor is extremely jealous. At this moment, Qingye adjusted her mentality and said, what were you two talking about just now? Qingye didn't ask that on purpose, the main thing was that she was indeed distracted just now. Chapter 1381. Although this wasn't intentional, they were still provoking the leaders of the South. Evergreen and Ever-Hatred were still respectable people. Now that he had already made his name known, if he didn't show it, his name would go down in history. The Broken Meridian sect and deity institution couldn't afford to lose this face. Empress. Aren't you looking down on us too much by saying these words? Do you think that your Wushu Empire is the overlord of this land? Chang Hen appeared to be especially furious. Look at the blue veins that were throbbing violently on his forehead, they were as thick as a little finger, and the filaments in his eyes were also especially obvious. The meridian break sect master Chang Hen, who had gone berserk, Qingya also felt a bit embarrassed in her heart. Just now, I was really thinking about other things. Looking at the children's teacher who looked like he was going to fight with his life on the line, it was really touching. Should he just let it go? From the looks of it, Qingya is still as kind as before. On the other hand, Donghuang Baiji, who is at the side, isn't that kind. I feel that I have to add more fuel to the fire. Donghuang Baiji said calmly, to be honest, I really don't put you in my eyes. Attack. Chang Qing thought that she was going to make a move on him, but in the end, he realized that she was going to make a move on the children's hands. How could he let her do as she wished? Everlasting hatred. Save them first. All right. Seeing that the negotiations had collapsed, the two sides immediately launched into a catfight. However, Qi Shuwen and the other two didn't go to rescue them, and instead chose Empress. Qi Shuwen shouted in a deep voice. Long Outyan and Lord Jiao were stunned. Is there something wrong with you? To actually use this kind of tone to call Donghuang Baiji. This voidless realm's empress, however, the battle below had already started. Qing Yutong along with the two skeletons, 3 against a group, it was very straightforward. Who are you? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously while looking at Qi Shuwen. Even Qingya was a bit puzzled. This man seems to know Donghuang Baiji. On the viewing platform, Yihua's expression tensed up. Just now, there was a problem with Qingya, and right now, there is even a problem with Donghuang Baiji as well. These two women. Did they find a gigolo behind my back? No wonder he had been so cold to me these past few days. It turns out that he wanted to use the Cold War method to make me take the initiative to break up with him. As expected, they were all scum. I, the Supreme Overlord, have to properly teach these two scumbags a lesson. Your Honor, the current situation is still unclear. The situation is right in front of us. It's very clear. Wei Chang was very speechless. Seems like His Honor is really jealous. Sigh, when His Honor gets jealous, he is also a famous person. You asked me who I am? Jiao Yi also immediately thought of Xiao Bao, that scoundrel, to not even let off a dog. At this moment, no matter how good Qi Shuwen was in the past, he had now become a demon-level person. After all, using one's own kin to threaten someone, no matter how good the relationship is, it would still instantly crumble. This is something that can't be helped, it's just human nature. Qi Shuwen was very satisfied with their current expressions. This is exactly the kind of feeling that I wanted. If you are tactful, then you should just obediently help me. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were not fools, this fellow is obviously threatening people. In that case, Jiao Yi and Long Outyan definitely have something that can be used against them. This fellow is truly too shameless, he only knows how to bully honest people. What exactly do you want? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. From the looks of it, this person seems to be determined to cause trouble, and he came prepared. Qi Shuwen turned his head and looked towards Donghuang Baiji, then said with a smile, Your Majesty, do you still remember the North-South martial arts competition back then? The North-South martial arts competition back then? How could Donghuang Baiji possibly forget about it? On that day, she got rid of a lot of people that were against her. Are you a descendant of those families? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. No, I am not a descendant of any family, I am just a wanderer. I am someone that sits on the spectator stand and looks up to you, Your Majesty. Hearing this, Wei Chang hurriedly said, Your Honor, look, this is a misunderstanding. Yihua did not utter a word. He discovered that today's matter had become interesting. This man was actually the person who participated in the North-South martial arts competition back then. I still have some memories of that day, but I really can't remember anything. Qingya said faintly, however, after so many years have passed, have you changed at all? After finished speaking, they even signaled to each other. You are still on the spectator stand, you are just floating up, that's all. Chapter 1382. Qi Shuwen lowered his head and revealed a sarcastic smile. There was even a hint of bitterness in his smile. Perhaps this bitterness came from the many years of hard work. The present is not what it used to be. It couldn't be more suitable for me. The corners of Qi Shuwen's mouth curled up into a confident smile. Everyone else here is trash, only I, Qi Shuwen, am the truly awesome existence. Dong Wang Baiji let out a light sigh. What do you want then? Take my place? Replace your position? No, no, no. I want to be above all of you. Qi Shuwen spread open his arms and spat out these bold words. Everyone was shocked, causing the entire place to fall silent. Qi Shuwen was able to feel the shock that these ordinary people were feeling. However, these were just appetizers. How can you people understand me, Qi Shuwen? Both Jiu Yi and Long Outyan didn't know what to say. Isn't it great that you are living well in Abyss City? Although you are not the boss there, at the very least, you are still an outstanding youngster, and you are able to obtain the respect of everyone there. However, these are not enough to satisfy you, and you even want to annex Voidless Realm. My god, did he eat dragon's bile? Just thinking about it was terrifying. Empress, arrest all the robbers. Qin Yutong's voice suddenly rang out, causing everyone to go into a daze for a moment. All of our gazes were attracted by Qi Shuwen just now, and we missed the good show at the side. Why is it so fast? This won't do, this won't do. I have to redo it again. I didn't manage to see anything, I have suffered a huge loss. I feel like I have missed out on 100 million. Long Outyan and Jiu Yi turned their heads around to take a look, and they could see that Chang Hen and Chang Qing had already been captured alive by the yellow armored warrior. And those subordinates of mine who are acting high and mighty, isn't this a bit too fast? We were just chatting with each other, and you all already, is this still the sect leader and dean? You two are so weak, and you two still dare to come. Also, Qi Shuwen is also from the academy. Now that he has been captured, why don't you think of a way to escape? Qi Shuwen naturally saw it, and he was exceptionally shocked in his heart. The original plan was for the Meridian-breaking sect and the deity institution to attract the firepower, and then he could capture the Empress. However, who would have thought that before they could even finish acting cool, they would be captured? The two of you are the two big shots of the South. How could he be caught so carelessly? At least buy me some time. Do you think your strength is enough to be eaten by dogs? Chang Qing and Chang Hen were furious, and being held down by the yellow armored warrior behind them, they were completely unable to stand up. Sect leader. We must have definitely been poisoned. If not, how could we possibly be poisoned so quickly? One of the people began to deceive himself. However, this method of self-deception was still very useful. At least the people around him began to follow suit. Yes, 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 we must have been poisoned at the snack street. My stomach feels a little upset now, so I slowed down a few levels just now. Yes, yes, yes. These damned bastards must have planned this from the start. Sect Master, we've been tricked. Long hatred was very clear in his heart. We are not poisoned, it's just that our skills are not as good as the other parties, that's all. Just look at the other party's 3 people, and they were able to capture more than 10 of us. The foundation of this Wushu Empire is unimaginable. If one were to say that they were the main force of Voidless Empire, even Eternal Hatred himself wouldn't believe it. How could an empire have such a trump card so easily appear? For Wushu Empire to be able to become the head of the northern region, it was definitely not something that came about randomly. From the looks of it, we have fallen into a trap today. The 2 big shots from Broken Meridian Sect and Shin Academy came to the northern region to save their disciples, and in the end, both of them suddenly died. This kind of news will definitely spread to every corner of the world. Thinking about what everyone will be talking about in the future, Yi Yan's entire body feels uncomfortable. Dean. Yi Yan was moved in his heart. As expected of the dean, even if he is kneeling, he still looks very dignified. Chang Qing gave Yi Yan an encouraging gaze, then said with an apologetic tone, Yi Yan, the dean is useless. Yi Yan went into a daze, then hurriedly said, Dean, this has nothing to do with you. I am the one who dragged the dean down, causing the dean to end up like this. I, Yi Yan, am ashamed. Qing Yutong raised her hand and slapped onto Yi Yan's head. Shut up. Your acting is too exaggerated. What are you doing? If you have the ability to slap me, then slap a child. Chang Qing immediately started protecting Yi Yan, looking as if he was going to fight Qing Yutong to the death. Qing Yutong was also astonished. I didn't expect that the dean would still be protecting Yan, at this time. Not bad, not bad. Sect Master, Ali has caused trouble for you again. When Dong Wangli was young, she had caused quite a lot of trouble, causing Broken Vein Sect to be in a mess. However, Chang Hen's expression was still stern, but his gaze was still doting on Dong Wangli. Chang Hen laughed lightly. I am already used to it. If you don't cause trouble for me, I might not be used to it. Seeing that the sect master actually revealed out a comforting smile, Dong Wangli was very moved. Father and mother should believe me now, right? It should be more or less enough. Later on, if they were to find out that all of this is fake, would both of them suddenly die? Right now, Qi Shuwen was also a bit unable to remain calm. Looking at the situation, the other party's strength is very strong. The other party was dealt with in just a few minutes. According to the distribution of strength, my strength, seems like I am a bit unable to keep up. I didn't even think about this kind of sudden situation. Furthermore, the words that I said just now, everyone present was shocked. The turn of events is simply too fast. So fast that no one is able to react to it. Qingya slowly stretched out her hand and moved her finger, indicating to Qi Shuwen not to stand in the middle and block his line of sight. Qi Shuwen was stunned. He swallowed his saliva and subconsciously retreated to the side, standing there obediently. When he was done, he felt that something was wrong. What was he doing? Wasn't he here to wash away his shame? Why does it feel like I've been slapped in the face? Furthermore, they were beaten up so badly. Why were those few people able to capture the 2 big shots from the south alive, and there were also more than 10 small shots? Isn't it too easy? Why is it like this? My God. I, Qi Shuwen, have endured humiliation for more than 10 years, waiting for such a day, and you are telling me that I can't win? It made me, Qi Shuwen, look like the kind of person who would honestly level up, while others were the kind who would spend money to buy equipment. No matter how hard I played, I couldn't catch up. Damn it. Too abominable. Long Outyan and Lord Jiu heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Qi Shuwen didn't make a move. But, this is such a huge loss of face. Do you even have the heart to die now? Does Qi Shuwen look like that kind of person who would commit suicide? He will only train even harder and wait for the next opportunity. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji placed Qi Shuwen to the side first. I will slowly ask him about it later. To actually think that he wants to be above Wushu Empire, to actually be able to shout out such arrogant words, this is truly shocking. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.